Which one is the best BMW sedan? Join us for this extensive comparison episode with the BMW 7 Series, the BMW 5 Series, presenting it to you in different powertrain versions. We have the combustion engine here, 520D for you, but also the i5 M60 versus the BMW 3 Series versus the BMW M440i, so the 4 Series here in the performance version. Note that this is the pre-facelift version, so you can also see how it is pre-facelift and more modern like it is already in the 3 Series. Versus the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé. This one is the smallest one, compact platform, but it's also a 4-door and from the outside basically a sedan. So which one would you go for? Which one would I go for? Let's find out. Let's go.
Is this the new king of luxury? The Chinese manufacturers are pushing to the premium and luxury market. Mercedes has presented the EQS. Now BMW says, hold my Bavarian beer, we can do better. But is it true? Can this all-new BMW 7 Series, including the electric i7, be even better than Bentley or Rolls-Royce? We're going to find out together here with Thomas on Autogefühl for you. This one here you can see in the two-tone paint, 12,000 euros or dollars extra. You have the black on the top and here, for example, the aventurine red on the lower part. Different color combinations are available. Throughout this review we'll show you different colors, and both the petrol and the electric version will also solve the question, petrol or electric, what is better, especially here in the luxury segment. Huge double kidney here. Very impressive. In the extended shadow line you can get it in all black, but you could also get it in a more subtle note. Here, for example, in the two-tone paint, I think there's a transition between the top paint and the grille, which is not ideal, I think. Or what's your take? Slim integration of the daytime running lights in the top, and this split here, that was highly criticized by a lot of viewers as well, that you have the split between the daytime running light and the real headlamp unit. So I would like to hear your take on the front design here of the 7 Series in the new generation. G70 is the internal code. Join us in the comments. Let's go with the rest. 5.39 m or 212 inches is the length of the all-new BMW 7 Series. Of course, that counts for all the versions, no matter which powertrain you pick. And the interesting thing is that if you consider some of the competitors like a Mercedes EQS or a NIO ET7 or a Tesla Model S, this one here is indeed way longer, and they are pushing in that Bentley or Rolls-Royce direction. Rolls-Royce is of course belonging to the BMW Corporation, and Rolls-Royce doesn't want to hear that, but we can show you some features today that it's actually true that they are pushing even more up market. It will only be available in this long wheelbase version. So far they had the split, for example in Germany, more short wheelbase, in the US the long wheelbase was standard. They say now this is the world car, has just one wheelbase. Makes it simpler for us, definitely. You see, I also dress in two-tone paint today, but I refuse to wear red or wine red trousers for that one. But you can see here, it's not only that split, here there's another line for that. So it is very, very complicated to use this paint here in the process. That's why it's so expensive. Me personally, I'm more team one tone, so one single paint, but are you team two paint? Also leave me then your comments. Wheels from 19 to 22 inch. These here are already big ones, 21 inch, somewhat still a compromise. Suspension, there will always be adaptive air suspension as standard. An optional, there is the so-called driver's package, and this then gives you rear axle steering, anti-roll stabilization, so an even sporty effect, and also better in turning around, turning circle, narrow parking, and so on and so on. So this will also play a major effect. And now very interesting from the drag coefficient, 0.24 here for the BMW 7 Series or i7. And this is worse than some of the competitors, because here usually they go for a raindrop design, but BMW more upright, more space also for the headroom and so on, because they did not go for the raindrop design, rather German Bauhaus, a little bit more upright, and they did some small tweaks for the wind efficiency. You can see it, for example, also right there. So a lot of work in the wind tunnel. But the question is, Is it still very efficient, although they are a little bit worse than the competition in the drag coefficient? But it also has then, you can see here, higher trunk, more space in the rear and so on. So this has more advantages as for this, especially the luxury sedan segment. Soon, of course, more about the range for the i7 when we drive it, and of course this comparison petrol versus electric. Here in the rear, the tail lamps are horizontally drawn, very modern, but still I prefer actually that this does not look this raindrop alike and say like, oh, this is only about wind efficiency. So a very strong design here also, and yeah, in this case then also with a two-tone paint here in the lower part. However, fake exhaust police here on Autogefühl, because yeah, these are tips then, the real exhaust on the inside. It's really hard to get it focused here on camera, this detail, this extra strip, and I just wanted to show you, when I touch this here, this transition, you can feel no transition at all. This is all perfectly smooth, so incredible paint job. And can you see that? This crystalline structure in the inside of the daytime running lights here on this top part here, this is such an attention to detail. And indeed, never before there were so many interesting details with the 7 Series, and this generation is so much different from the predecessor, also almost like never before. And this vehicle here is deep frozen gray in the color, a matte dark gray color, almost, I would say it's almost matte black, isn't it? But they call it deep frozen gray. Yeah, this finally now fits my outfit even better. And this is also the i7, by the way. But you can pick this color, of course, also for the petrol engine. Where do you see from the exterior if it's the EV or the petrol or maybe also diesel in Europe or the plug-in? Well, the thing is here, the electrified models here have the blue ring around the BMW logo, and that's basically it. The rest, if you want here the double kidney in black with the frame here, again, extended shadow line also on this one, two-tone paint and so on, you decide that on your own, you decide that yourself. It's just, they are more in the strategy, hey, we don't want the EV to look different. That's the 7 Series, and you can pick it in the engine version or the motor version you like. Very interesting approach. What do you think about that? And also at the rear here, the one thing you can see, we have the blue ring here around the BMW logo to differentiate it, and we also have the i7 logo right here. Once again, extended shadow line with blacked out rear lamps for more sinister look. So yeah, this looks really massive, doesn't it? Here it says xDrive 60, that's the first version of the i7. It is also all-wheel drive, one electric motor in the front, one electric motor in the rear. The acceleration figure is 4.7 seconds to 1 kilometer or 62 miles an hour. That's half a second slower than the V8. However, later there will be the M70 version of the i7, which will then be the quickest version of all of the whole lineup. They will also then have some hardware changes to the rear electric motor. Very interesting. The top speed for this one already 240 kilometers an hour or 150 miles an hour. So it's not really much slower than the petrol version. They go a little bit faster, but yeah, I think we can easily live with that even in Germany on the German Autobahn. We also have two more colors for you today, by the way. The oxide gray. Is that also gray? I'm not sure, but it looks really interesting. And also the mineral white, that works very well also with contrasts, for example. Which color would you go for? I'm still looking forward to see one in Thomas Blue, of course, but I mean, these matte colors they offer here are also very striking. So which one is petrol, which one is EV? Can you tell? Let me tell you. Left side is the petrol one, right side the EV. You just see here the blue ring around the logo. And here with this vehicle we have a very dark, elegant blue vehicle color. That's cool. And this one, as you can obviously see, has the illuminated double kidney. And the option is called Iconic Glow. And you have this outline then there and also welcoming function when you approach the vehicle. And as another option, there are also this Swarovski crystals option. And this you can also see here at these headlamps. We also had at our other vehicle. This is the thing where you always see these special details, you know, how they are worked out, this top part of the daytime running light. Let's take a look at the turning indicators or hazard lights here, in this case on both sides. That looks also pretty special here in the front, right? But also at the rear and also in the interior. Let's take a look. The US spec version has the red turning indicators. Of course, then, for example, European background, where the yellow turning indicators would look a little bit more distinctive. Here, look at that, the ambient lighting. Woo, hazard light, ambient lighting. Haven't seen that? What a great idea, right? It's, it's just initially and then it turns off, but yeah, but probably when you are somewhere having it on for a longer time that you don't get annoyed by it, but that's pretty special, isn't it? And also when you approach the vehicle from the rear, it's some kind of welcoming signature. That's really impressive. And look at that interior light at night, even more impressive than in this case. And when you open the vehicle, you also get some kind of welcoming display. And then also the ambient lighting becomes more obvious. But even when you close the vehicle again, even from the outside, when the doors are closed, it looks really amazing. And when you get away from the vehicle again, at some point, closes off, and then also says goodbye with this signature. The smartphone app offers some cool features. For example, if you have the automatic doors, then you can also open the doors via the smartphone. And that looks very impressive, especially when you open them all four at once. And what you can also do is use the remote parking function. So we know it maybe from Hyundai, Kia and Genesis that they do that with the key fob here, also with BMW with the smartphone app. And then you can also ease your car out of parking lots or put them in when they're very narrow. Before we get to the interior, let's quickly take a look at the powertrains. This one here, the pure petrol version. This is the 4.4 liter V8 with 540 horsepower in the 760i. So the strongest petrol engine, 4.2 seconds is the acceleration figure. And then there will also be the 3 liter inline 6-cylinder pure petrol engine. This one will also be totally sufficient, 5.4 seconds is the acceleration figure there. However, the pure petrol engines are for the US market and some other countries. Northern America in general is the main market for that one. In Europe, we don't get the pure petrol engine, but we get the diesel. What is it? It's kind of a trade-off, BMW, huh? Well, but for all markets, you get the plug-in hybrid based on the 3 liter inline 6-cylinder petrol engine and the i7, the pure electric version. If you need some extra footroom, this is the version to go for. I'm just kidding. This is the cutaway model here, where we can see more of that battery. This is the i7 cutaway, and these cells here combined make a total capacity of 102 kilowatt hours net. Recharging will be 10 to 80% state of charge with DC charging in 34 minutes. It's the optimum at the 195 kilowatt peak. And here at the closed side, you can also see the two-tone paint. When you have the top part here in the gray or silver styling, then it has even more contrast and you can see this separate fine line even better. And once again, no transition here, or you can feel no transition with your finger. It's really very well made. Well, will it worth be $12,000 or euros to you? So you rather press here in this upper corner and then you move a little bit more backwards and you do not block the sensor. So when I press it here, the door does open automatically like this. And the question is, what about, you know, like the safety thing? So when I close it here from the inside again, and I'll be, well, it still applies pressure. Oh, a little bit, yeah. So it stops, yes. But it's not too pleasant, I have to say. Let me stand up and then see again. Oh, yeah, so you could knock away children with that. It won't hurt so much and there won't be like a major accident. Yeah, but you just have to be aware of that, definitely. And the thing is also, what about from the outside? Pressing it here and then, you can see, there it stops. So this is then better with the sensor. So there it stops before it does hit everything. So yeah, that's the safety thing on the outside. Well, when you're on the inside, you just have to learn to control the doors a little bit better. inside of the doors. A lot of different materials are being used, really screaming out. Bowers & Wilkins sound system here behind that. Seat control in this crystalline look, but you can still move that thing. You get a haptic feedback, unlike with the Mercedes at the moment, with the new models. Then here, fabric with wool sheer. This is this kind of interior, but you will also get a new so-called Veganza sensor tech. It's like a more evolved sensor tech style if you get that interior. And here, high gloss black piano lacquer. That is, I think, the least favorable material we see here at the inside of the doors. Steering wheel in a new design. This is here the M Sport steering wheel. As for the seats, this one here, the fabric wool sheer mix. So this is like this, more fabric approach to it. Why not in the luxury segment? Reducing animal skin leather already a little bit. The top part is animal origin, however. And then there's a full animal skin wrap still. And new, however, here with the new 7 Series is the so-called Veganza material. It is basically the same appearance like the new Sensación in the BMW X7 facelift, only that they use different suppliers. But they're both then kind of an elaborated sensor tech material, animal-free, less resource use, less energy used, better to animals, better to the workers, and so on. So this is where it is heading to, definitely. Some limitations for the Veganza material as for the market choice. In Germany, we can basically get it for all the versions. In UK, you can get it for the i7, for the all-electric version. And in the US, they make it the other way around. They don't offer the i7 with the Veganza material, and also not here the 8-cylinder. There you have to go for the 6-cylinder. I think not a good strategy to limit this offer there, because the material is superb. It has also the very same durability, but way less impact on everything around us. So we've seen it in the X7, it is perfect, and also way to go than here when speccing this vehicle. As for the comfort here when seating, for the seat ergonomics, yeah, it's really very comfortable, very luxurious. And that's also the first thing when you take a look at the competitors. The new ET7 recently, I think, had also good comfort in seating. Tesla Model S and Mercedes EQS, this one here has definitely way more comfort already when sitting in the front here. So for the seat ergonomics here and how you feel, this is one of the most luxurious sedans, definitely. And yeah, I mean, from the comfort in the front, they can easily, I think, even be better than Bentley or Rolls-Royce. So you feel with everything they do here, they are pushing towards the segment. However, user interface, you've already seen, they're getting more and more digital. Is that the right thing to do? We'll also tell you more about that. Interior overview, well, very clean first impression. And told you, Mercedes EQS is all about ambient lighting. BMW says, hold my beer, we can also do ambient lighting. And that's where we ended up with. So here, this looks really amazing. So this crystalline structure on the top. It's not glass though, because that would have been, not really crash safe. And here you can then switch through the different colors. And I mean, it's really bright. It's 12 o'clock noon at the moment here, and you can still very well see that. So that's actually a pretty cool idea to bring more spice to the interior. However, as for the vents control, if you take a closer look right here, this is also digitalized. And do you see here this, this green dot jumping? This looks a little bit more like Space Invaders or so, isn't it? Here on the driver and the co-driver side, by the way, it's the same. You can see the transition here between the door inside panel and this cockpit panel, how the ambient lighting is changing. So yeah, once again, especially at night, that's a very impressive feature. You still have buttons you can really press here, for example, for the cruise control. This is like one button, but then the central one is separated. Digital instruments, left side speed, right side here the RPM, brum brum. And then you can also change what you want to see in the middle. You can have here the music view from the CarPlay. You can have the GPS, car internal GPS, but it's also possible to show Apple Maps here or Google Maps with Android Auto. And there we go. This is the front view camera. It's also a nice integration. Then you can also change the whole layout if you rather prefer, for example, this or this. Yeah, or maybe this. Yeah, and you can also have just a central speed in the middle if you want it rather reduced. head-up display, also with more elaborated view. It is always more crisp in real life than it is on camera. Yeah, I'll also see more about it when we drive the vehicle. Now the infotainment system, here the temperature always stays in the lower part. I do prefer manual climate knobs, you know that, but this one, at least it stays here, but not a real progress, I would think. Climate menu, you can also now turn on and off the AC function. They upgraded that, and here, for example, is the seat cooling and the seat heating and steering wheel heating, very important for wintertime. This is my favorite wintertime car function, actually. Then here, there's also a main menu available like this, but I think OS 8 is overkill. I did prefer OS 7. This one, of course, has just so many more functions overall. And yeah, I told you about the interior ambient lighting function, for example, that can be activated right here. And the My Mode selection is also interesting. So here you pick the different driving modes, and then also the ambient lighting changes accordingly, and also some parameters for driving. Here in Sport Mode, for example, the bolsters of the seat go a little bit more inward, for example. You can still control everything from down below, so you don't have to use the touchscreen. So you can also control the CarPlay like this. And with Auto also available, both wireless, and the integration is really cool here, definitely. And this Bowers & Wilkins sound system, I can tell you, it is just pleasure to listen to that one. Great song, by the way. Wow, such a great sound quality, amazing, wow. Lower middle console, this inductive charging pad here, and hard to pick it up on camera, but this is here a small slot, and it is sucking away, yeah, I did say that, sucking away the air from the smartphone, though it doesn't overheat while inductive charging. So, and then here you have the cup holders. You can open them, slide like this, and they are also adaptive and hold bottles tight. Did I just say, like in 1 or 2 sentences now, slot, sucking and tight? Here again, more high gloss black piano lacquer, don't like it. The crystalline knob here is quite cool here, and then you can still have this, oh, sound. Yeah, that's always cool. Here the GPS hotkey, for example, a home hotkey, so you still have some things to control that you're used to. This here is the shifting lever, and this is basically the only thing you can differentiate if you're driving a petrol engine or the electric version. Here D and S, and whereas in the i7, the electric one, you have D and B for the recuperation mode, actually. We have my favorite split opening like this for the middle console. Not too much space here, 2 USB-C chargers. And, well, BMW did not hand me over a key, but rather just a smartphone. And then you have this app here, and you can lock and unlock your vehicle. Oh, they also did this, original 2-tone paint design on there. I do prefer a normal knob. And we are also charging our camera accus here, camera batteries. Meanwhile, so yeah, it is usable, but not too much space. What about you? Would you go for the smartphone only solution? We know that Tesla customers also use that together with this key card. Or do you want to hold a real key fob in your hand? Why did Michelle's door close? So Michelle just got a hit in the he just got hit in the back by the door. Ah, but you did hit the automatic door button like this one here, right? Yeah, you did hit this one with your arm or something. So you basically, Michelle, stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Stop hitting yourself. Yeah, funny things like these can happen with this new digitalized interface in the vehicle. And this is always the question, like with the key fob. I do prefer a real key fob, Yeah, I think I'm gonna go to BMW and do a Karen, like, I want to talk to the manager. I want a real key fob. I paid for this. Yeah, you still get the normal key fob. Yes, that's a good thing, and you can use it. But on these, test drives, they also encourage you to use all the digital functions of the vehicle. And yeah, I sometimes try to keep it a little bit more, down to earth as for the vehicles. So you can still use some buttons here, but I'm not sure, like also with the automatic door opening and closing and so on. Rear area, before we get to the executive driving, being chauffeured position, what about when I'm sitting behind the tall driver? Yes, that's me. Here the legroom is still sufficient. They are not making good use of the space, but there will always be enough space available. And also as for the headroom, and here's the thing, that they did a compromise with aerodynamics, so they could still offer a lot of headroom even with 1.89 m or 6'2", and the comfort here, if you compare it to the EQS, is so much better indeed. So BMW clearly wins it here, and I have to say, would I need a Bentley or Rolls-Royce for that and pay even more? I think really not. It is super luxurious in here indeed. And the thing is, when you have the Mercedes comparison, you have to compare this one both to the S-Class and to the EQS. And the difference in rear comfort is so huge to the EQS. S-Class also offers decent rear comfort, yes, of course. But here, of course, BMW decided to have one vehicle for the both electric and the petrol version, and nothing will be different here in the interior, really. That's a very crucial point. The one thing I do criticize with this vehicle is, but that's not only about BMW, it's about all the brands, using this vehicle has become more complicated. So I put up the shade here. So when I want to open the window, here I can also lower the shade manually, but then when I want to put up again, it's not working here. It would be like a logic solution. I just pull this lever and then the shade comes, you know, first the window and then the shade. That would make sense. It's not possible. When lowering it, it goes down, but I can't put it up again that way. Then I have to go here deep in the menu. Yes, I'm continuing with that today, deep in the menu. So, and then I have to switch it here on the screen that this shade comes up. And I wonder, I mean, if you're driving 10 hours all day, and maybe this is kind of like a hobby, it takes more time to use car functions, and I'm keeping myself busy while being chauffeured. That's maybe a thing, you know, but I tend to say I want to have things straightforward and just technology improvement when it makes my life easier and not more complicated. Also, you know, where are the seat controls here that I can like put the seat forward or backward again, just like in 1 second? It's not there. It's again in the screen that they don't need so many buttons. So, and then I have to go to the home menu again, switch to seats, and then control the driving position here, what I want to have. It works, yes, and they've done a great job and everything looks great and so on, but it just takes more time. You will get faster over time, but when we directly compare the old school solution and the new school solution, the user interface is just taking more time now. And this is the thing I meant. So, I mean, considering it is an early, there we go. It's an early production model, so things will still improve, also software-wise, definitely. But I just had a screen crash now. I had to wait until the screen reloads itself. So, but when I would have separate seat control here, I could still do that and don't care about the crashing screen. But here, then you have to wait for the screen to restart, and it took like 2 minutes now or something. And by the way, at least what is redundant is the door control. You have three-way. Yes, three-way. I got it. I got that. Thank you. And then you have 3 ways to adjust to open the door here. When you press this button, it just opens slightly, and then you can press it further. Second way is this button up here. This is then the automatic door opener, and it really opens all the way. Oh, sorry, that gets really bright now, you know. And then we can close it all again. And then the manual way, because this is of course, you know, important emergency fail-safe. This is the manual door opener. When all electronics fail, that you can still manually open that door. Oh my God, this is not spacious enough. Yeah, of course. Now we can use the executive being chauffeured position, and I activate it here on the screen. Set lounge position, it is called. There we can see magic. The front seat is moving forward. Let's see. Of course, it takes a while. While that is going forward, I can also show you this one here, the armrest. Again, inductive charging pad. Air is being sucked away. And then here is some more storage with 2 more USB-C chargers. And the quality of the materials, how everything is processed in the interior, is really outstanding. And now, there we go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna take my shoes off now. And because you can see here the seat, it's going up. Oh, this is awesome, right? This is awesome. Look at that. Wow.
This is really amazing, super comfortable, and then you can also rest your feet here on this, special footrest that is going up. This is really amazing. Now the seat is going a little bit more backward, and once again, me with 189 and 6'2", this is sufficient for my size. Actually, it's still going. Now position is reached. Maybe I should switch and start traveling just here in this position and get a driver. You want to be my driver? Applications in the comments. That would be awesome, right? And we also can get to know each other, right? So, yeah, wow, this is extremely comfortable. It works size-wise. What a great idea here. So this is really some amazing equipment here. And also the head restraint is super comfortable. So is it king of luxury now? From what we've seen here so far, maybe not king of user interface, but which car is that nowadays? But from the comfort perspective, wow, this is outstanding indeed. And I really don't need a Rolls or Bentley now indeed. And now it's time for the theater mode. Let's try it with the voice input. Hey BMW, activate theater mode. Ta-da! Woo! Yeah, that's a cool effect with the sound and so on, right? So it goes down like this. You always have to ensure that the front seats are also, far away down. Yes, keep using. And then this is here with Amazon Fire TV. And you can have, for example, Prime Video, but you can also watch YouTube. So that would be possible, depending, of course, on the online connection. So here, for example, you can watch pre-downloaded content then, if you have done it before and don't have a Wi-Fi connection. That is one possibility.
Thomas?
Hey.
What are you doing there?
I'm only taking a look at our footage, because that's the thing what you can also do here. So we connected now this MacBook here with an HDMI cable to the screen, and then we can take a look at our footage here, which we have just been shooting. Yeah, I mean, it's very crisp, this image quality, really cool, of course, here in full 4K now here in Autogefühl for you. Well, to work really with it, that is creating too much delay. That doesn't really make sense. But for example, if you have something, like movies maybe on your laptop and want to have the HDMI connection, that would be possible. You can then select the source, either the Fire TV or then here the HDMI. It is also USB-C connection on the back part, but that is not for using as input. That would have been cool as well, maybe like with a USB-C stick or something, but that's not possible. But yeah, it does deliver you some possibilities. And the, let's say, more straightforward use would be, I mean, here at the back part of the seats, there's USB-C charging, also some mounts for iPad holders. So yeah, at the end of the day, is it really useful, this theater screen? It's great for the show effect. But will people rather use their own devices and watch the thing on their smartphone or on the tablet? Probably yes. Or what's your take on that? And the shade of the panoramic roof, by the way, is going forward. So it starts at the rear here and then is being rolled in the front. And the reason for that is, by that they can also ensure more rear headroom, because they are storing it here in the front. That's a very clever idea indeed. You cannot open the sunroof, it's just that blind you can close or open. And the secondary interior here with bright styling. The same style, same color you can also get with the leatherette Veganza material, so that would look and feel the same. And this one here is also an i7, but that's once again from the interior. How can I see that? It's actually just the one thing that is here, the B and the D. So we have the full recuperation mode we can pick here, instead of the S mode for the combustion engines, but that's basically about it. Everything else is the same. There's also no compromise as for headroom or something. So it is really, they went for, hey, we built one vehicle and then you pick the different powertrains. But in driving, they will differ. Oh, will they? Well, we're going to find out. Oh, and the blue ring around the steering wheel. That's, of course, the other thing you can see that it's an electric vehicle here, or the EV version on the interior.
And now to the trunk, let's take a look. 540 liters here for the petrol version. We'll soon also compare the EV. You can see here the cabin trolley also easily fits in a vertical way, so good measurement, of course. Then here I installed a light right there that you can also see the back of the vehicle, and this is the length of, let's say, like 115 in meters or 45 inches, and the crucial width here on the inside is a little bit less than 80 centimeters or 31 inches. It's just way wider here on the very front part. Interesting also the height, of course, and this is at 57 centimeters or 22 inches. And this is the trunk of the EV of the i7. You see here in the petrol version, like this step was a little bit lower, so this whole floor is a little higher. However, in the front you still have space for the charging cable. It's just that this then here is covered, and the height difference then is that here we are at 50 centimeters or 20 inches, whereas we were at 22 inches or 57 centimeters with the petrol version. So this is the gap then you lose in height with the EV version. I think you can live with that. Welcome to Thomas's luxury driving lounge, and I really wanted to start with dynamic driving. It's soon to come, but then I was driving straight and I thought, like, I have to begin with driving straight, because this vehicle here, the all-new BMW 7 Series, is already a star when just driving straight. I mean, I'm just driving pure straight road and think, like, I'm flying, you know. Also have the assistance systems here. They're keeping you in the lane, active lane keeping assist, very smooth as for the transitions and so on. And you hear almost nothing from the outside. You are totally decoupled from everything. So the stress level is immediately lower. It's great comfort in the seats and so on. Wow, just wow. The luxury comfort we have here is outstanding. And yeah, once again, I have to say, to one of the first questions, are they closing the gap here to Bentley and Rolls-Royce? Definitely. I mean, they're almost making Rolls-Royce obsolete. It's about more like the individual choices, of course. That's the thing then, you know. But it's really more about you pay more because you want to pay more, but you don't have to. Although this is not cheap at all, you know. But yeah, this is easily, driving-wise, also king of luxury. Wow. But then it's still a BMW. That's why I initially also wanted to begin with that. What's to come here, you can maybe also already see it right here. Winding corners here outside of Palm Springs, California. Really testing the vehicle. How agile is it, although it is that large, it has that long wheelbase. Short remark to the fuel economy here of the 8-cylinder, 4.4 liter 8-cylinder. You can, in a calm driving, you know, motorway, 100 kilometers, 60 miles an hour, cruise control, do some 9 to 10 liters on the 100 kilometers and some 25 mpg US or even in the 30s of the mpg UK. That is possible. If you use that power a little bit, it can also easily jump up to about 30 liters on 1 kilometers and then go down below 20 mpg both US and UK. So that's like the spectrum. And we will test first here the petrol engine, the V8, and then we will get to the i7, to the all-electric version, and compare also what is actually better, petrol or electric. I know this area here a little bit. That's why I know we can, you know, just hold here on the right side and then do an acceleration onto the road again without, you know, having any kind of risk or something. So here we go. And I'll put it to my modes. It's a little bit tough to select that here, and then I put the sports mode. And there's no one, there's one car coming, and then we can hit the accelerator pedal. And let's see, it's a little slightly uphill. Let's see, let's go. Plop, that's 55 miles an hour, wow. So that was almost 0 to 60 miles an hour. Woo! Wow. So that was something. You good, Michelle? He's like, I mean, it did like the super quick acceleration, that V8 sound hammered in, and he's like, oh, I'm flying still. This is so relaxing. So, yeah, let's see if I can get him out of his relaxing mode here, Michelle. So, we're hunting up these corners and see how agile is it. This vehicle has everything in it. Adaptive air suspension goes a little bit stiffer than here in these corners, and also the integral active steering, so that's the rear axle steering, and together also with the anti-roll stabilization. And this car is not leaning into the corners at all. Wow. The weight distribution here is a little bit worse with the petrol engine than with the EV. So the goal is always 50-50 at BMW, and the EV has perfect 50-50. This one here, the petrol, has like just slight percentage more to the front axle because of the petrol engine, but it's just a little difference. So this was, I talked to the chief engineer, and he said actually one of his biggest tasks with this one platform solution was to exactly achieve that both drive quite equal. Is that true? We'll find out very soon. I can already tell you here so far with the petrol engine, it drives phenomenal. And you know, I'm testing a lot of different vehicles, and in the last 10 years I've been driving, I don't know, 1,500 different cars. This one is no doubt one of the most exceptional ones. Rarely do we find that a vehicle, especially of that size, has this kind of agile driving feeling. I mean, and it's really super unique. On the one hand, it feels extremely smooth and comfortable. On the other hand, you feel like, wow, I mean, this is actually quite light and very sporty indeed. So we can also do that with it, like what the truck does. Is it local? Yeah, just always try to obey the speed limit. I still need my driver's license. Wow, and then I mean, this V8 has a nice sound. It gets you a little bit more emotions. Let's see if that EV later on can keep up to that. But it's also buttery smooth. When you hit the accelerator pedal, there's no delay whatsoever from that V8. And this slightly growling sound, not exaggerated at all. Steering gives me a very good feeling. Wow, what a view down to Palm Springs. So steering gives me a great possibility to control the vehicle. And I can't believe I'm driving such a huge and long vehicle. It doesn't feel like that at all. Michelle? He's flabbergasted.
Super relaxing, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really not driving slowly here, you know. So, and they're like, also like the G-force that are applied on the body. Sometimes when you hitting these serpentine roads, especially like the co-driver say like, no, but he's like, I'm really driving quite quickly here. Yeah, this truck driver here in front of me, he is really onto this now here too. He must be feeling way different than we in this 7 Series here. But wow, driving dynamics wise, this is on another level, and not only in comparison to the predecessor, which was already good, definitely, but yeah, I mean, also the competition. They are building very, very nice cars as well, no doubt about that. But this is also driving wise, both in the comfort and in the agility direction. Really, this owns the competition, and I rarely say that, you know. So, and you know, when you're a long-term subscriber here, that you know that I'm for Germany doesn't have anything to do in how I rate cars from which countries, and most cars are international built anyway. BMW also builds a lot of their cars in the US primarily, especially the SUVs. So, and I'm also not brand focused or something, so they say, oh, like this is my favorite brand, therefore I rate it in a better way or something like that. A lot of you guys already know that I used to own a lot of Jaguars and so on, huge fan of all the British vehicles and so on. So I can really just say that without any bias, this is one of the most superb cars in the driving, definitely, like ever.
wow, I'm really just literally blown away how good that is. So yeah, and I mean, when I just think about, hey, picking in a nice color, getting the new Veganza evolved center tech seats here for animal-free seating, maybe in a bright color or something, that would have been a kick-ass combination, right? So yeah, just have to recheck then again if I can really afford that. So yeah, that's of course always something else with the BMW 7 Series. You could also wait 10 years and then buy a used one. So yeah, I mean, usually after 3 years they lose half of the price, these very expensive vehicles, so you might wait in at least 3 years or something. Wow, this is, I mean, it's strange. I mean, quite often you have cars that are really comfortable and relaxing, and you have cars that are really sporty, and then the variables change a little bit. And rarely have I had an experience where I have so much sporty driving fun, but so much relaxed comfort at the same time. It seems like a complete contradiction, you know. So it seems like a goal conflict, but it's actually true. Wow, that is really cool. Driving modes, it was a sport mode here, and we can also go to the say like the relax mode. In the relax mode, that was a nice test as well. So the sunshade goes closed in the relax mode. We have our camera mounted up there. And that was, thank you, good boy. So that was well done by the sunshade. It did hit the camera mount, but it did them immediately stop and not destroy it. And we, believe me, we had other sunshades there before. So well done, sunshade. That's live here on Autogefühl, the most authentic experience in reviewing you can get. In relaxing mode, I'll show you if you feel that, Michelle. There is, yeah, that's the stuff. There is the seat massage. I also feel it. That's very well done, that seat massage, right? Will you also be happy with the 6-cylinder engine? Definitely, it will deliver more than enough power. It will have a better fuel economy. They are electrifying their whole portfolio, even though when you don't have an all-electric version, you have always like a mild hybrid inbuilt then, or then the plug-in hybrid will also be available, of course, together with the 6-cylinder petrol engine. So my tip rather would be then to stick with the smallest petrol engine if you don't go EV yet, because this will be totally sufficient and will already deliver you the same kind of fun. And yes, the V8 always has some kind of better sound. However, this car is so well insulated that you heard it maybe earlier, but you don't hear the engine that much because the cabin is so well insulated. I mean, there's no wind noise whatsoever from the exterior. Yeah, that's really, I mean, also like 21-inch wheels on this vehicle and still such a great comfort from suspension. If you want an even softer ride, you would stick with smaller wheels. So no matter which car you have, you can always vary comfort and sportiness with the wheels. The bigger wheels you get, the sportier the car will feel, the more direct it will feel. When you get smaller wheels, it will have more dampening from the tire and you will have more comfort. So you can just choose that yourself. And here we go. This is the i7, the all-electric version of the all-new BMW 7 Series. And, well, the first surprising thing is you hardly feel a difference, at least when driving straight here now. You have this great floating ride from the air suspension. And since you feel the shifting, of course, in the combustion engine, but since it's done in a very smooth way, it's not a huge difference. So from the get-go here, there has hardly ever been a vehicle where there are different powertrain versions of it, where the difference between the EV and the non-EV version is so little in the first feeling. So that's really, really interesting. Of course, you have the throttle input is like a little bit more directly, but they also both tuned these vehicles in a way that there also is not the biggest difference between that. So, wow, super interesting. And when there would be like the V8 sound, it would be almost the same.
There is also the sound here, these iconic sounds as I call it. We will soon hop to the sports mode, do the same acceleration as we did yesterday. This one here on paper, a little bit less quick in this version. Later, as I said, there will be electric version, all-electric version, which will be even quicker than everyone. And in the sport mode, the sound will be even more enhanced. So we will experience that. But when you're driving straight here now, you basically get almost the same experience, both with the petrol and the EV. This sonorous, low-frequency growling from a 6 or 8 cylinder is, of course, always something that just, appears to your body somehow, That's not necessarily a thing like, oh, we're petrol heads or something. It's for real, also with vibrations and something. So that is kind of cool. You don't feel it here, but since this vehicle has such a great insulation, the difference again is not that large. So now sports mode, and we'll hear more of these iconic sounds. Let's accelerate it out. Let's go. Launch control. Plop, that's 55 miles an hour. Wow. Whew. And you also heard that sound building up. That was pretty amazing. You liked it, Michelle? He's a fan of iconic sound stuff. You can always deactivate it. So everything you hear now from this, you can completely deactivate it. It's just a thing like if you want that. It is not very extreme. So there are electric vehicles where you have more sound feedback. So here they thought with a 7 Series, we don't exaggerate it. In the sports mode here, you hear, of course, more of that. I think it's still subtle enough. Here now in these corners, once again, they feel pretty similar. So the EV has a little bit better weight distribution. And also the center of gravity is lower because the batteries are put in the floor. We've seen the cutaway model. Then again, the overall weight, of course, the battery is quite heavy. So, yeah, but the question is really what's the result then for the customer? And I have to say, once again, it feels pretty similar. So I can just stress how it was with the slower driving. Also here, it is actually less than expected. There is also this instant acceleration. It's so super smooth. The feeling from the throttle pedal is a little bit more linear and artificial, of course. With a ICE, internal combustion engine, you always have some kind of power curve, which somehow feels more natural because it's not that digital, it's not that linear. And to me, this is something, let's say, a little bit more human, you know what I mean? Again, the difference is not that large, and here, wow, it's so well put on the road, doesn't shake up at all. It's a lot of fun, and at the same time, it's super comfortable once again. Yeah, I'm really once again impressed by the driving behavior here. And we don't have it here that we would feel, oh, like because of the weight of the batteries, we are getting pushed out of the corners or something. The big question is indeed, is any of these vehicles here, or any of these versions, you have to say, more fun? And it's a tough question. Sometimes I'm absolutely certain when I have these ratings or these verdicts, and I'm, like, okay, this is more fun or this is more fun. But here, it's both a lot of fun, definitely. Maybe I would say that when you have the combustion engine, it feels a little bit more natural because of that power curve. So it's, to me, it is not that perfect. Like, this digitalized linear power curve of the EV. And because it is less perfect, it feels to me more natural and maybe a little bit more likable. So when I'm just base it on the pure feeling thing, maybe, yeah, I would say the combustion engine is still a little bit more pleasing. I don't need the V8 for that. I would just be fine with the 6-cylinder. I think the BMW 6-cylinder is the best engine pick in the whole lineup across all the models. The inline 6 petrol from BMW is the best engine you can pick there. But that's, you know, on the pure fun side, and also with minor difference. Here the crucial thing is really charging infrastructure. So if you're willing to go EV yet and you have the charging infrastructure, you can as well go for the i7, no problem. If you're driving every day, long mileage and have no good charging possibility, then of course it's still one of the combustion engines. So I think it really rather comes down to, do you have the charging infrastructure or not? That's really the crucial thing. As for recuperation, so far we're going uphill, but we're soon finishing this uphill run here. Then I'll talk more about the recuperation modes. At the moment we're in the adaptive mode, and that means that usually when I lift the throttle, there is rather rolling. Only when here now, the car is in front of me and I'm too close to it, then recuperation is happening. It's somewhat like of a good compromise. The only thing is that it's not that predictable what the car will do. If you rather want that, you can also pull this shifting lever, and then you are in the B mode, and then you have more one pedal driving feeling. So here, always, wow, really strong deceleration. That is a true one pedal driving. So if you prefer that, you can have that. Talking about the driving modes, by the way, as for the steering is crisp and direct. The only thing I would like to be improved, BMW more moved to the direction of, hey, let's make the car easy and light to steer, and by that convey a feeling of being more agile. Whereas the old school approach, especially in sporty vehicles, is more like, hey, let's apply more feeling to the vehicle by giving it a little bit more resistance. And to me, I feel it's somehow cooler when the steering has some more resistance in it. See here in the sports mode, it's still pretty light. So again, it's crisp and direct. Yeah, in the sport mode, you have a little bit more resistance, but me personally as a driver, I would like to have a little bit more resistance in the steering wheel, but it's still fine. And of course, big advantage for the EV is, we went uphill now, and when we go downhill again, we will gain so much energy back. So of course, the EV then, especially when there are topography changes, is so much more efficient. And here we go with our test result for today. So it's 3 miles per kilowatt hour, and that means considering a 102 kilowatt hour battery, yeah, over 300 miles of electric range. It's like 500 kilometers. You can see here we've been driving over 200 miles for you today. And this is here, by the way, we gained over 22 kilowatt hours back to the battery by recuperation. Overall, that's a comparable result and a good result. Also, if you compare it to the competition, like the Mercedes EQS, the Mercedes EQS has better wind efficiency on the motorway, yes, but it does not feature a heat pump yet. Probably will receive it later. Here the BMW i7 already gets a heat pump from standard equipment, so you're also safe then in winter times.
So I did adapt to the temperature outside now a little bit, and yeah, I think that's also fitting to the vehicle, isn't it? So the question is, we had a lot of questions initially, does it own even Bentley and Rolls-Royce? Yeah, kinda. I don't need a Bentley or Rolls-Royce when I can have that. You just pay extra in price without getting any more benefit, actually. You can have everything with that. Plus, they now also have the new animal-free interior. We haven't had it today. We've already seen it in the X7, and that's absolutely perfect. And that's why they have a more sustainable setup, and they really can combine the luxury and sustainability aspect, of course, as far as possible. Question also, petrol versus the EV here. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's really a question of infrastructure. You have to have that. Otherwise, you know, it's definitely more complicated. Here with a range of about 500 kilometers or 300 miles, the EV is slightly catching up at least to the V8. Especially if you have the 6-cylinder, you will have even more range. Of course, the 6-cylinder will be king of range. So yes, the combustion engines will still give you a higher range, that's for certain. The question is your driving profile and is your charging infrastructure ready yet? From a driving experience, both come so close indeed. You can't really say the other one is way more fun than the other one or something. I felt like this low sonorous frequency sound of the 8-cylinder does deliver some more natural fun driving feeling, a little bit just, than the i7. But again, it's not a huge difference. That shouldn't be the crucial point if you go EV or not, actually. And what about the direct competition from the premium manufacturers, like Mercedes, for example? Well, especially with the rear comfort, it's easily or way better than the Mercedes EQS and also everything else. The only thing with these new vehicles here, also in this new generation, the user interface has become more complicated. That's also the thing here. You can get used to it a little bit, but still I think at some points they were going in a too complicated direction. Other than that, what an impressive vehicle.
How good is the all-new BMW 5 Series and how does it rate against the main competitors, Mercedes E-Class or the electric one, the Mercedes EQE? We're going to find out here today in our extensive driving review with Thomas and Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. Here you can see all the 5 Series version, no matter if electric or petrol or diesel or plug-in hybrid, will more or less look the same. They're building on the very same platform. And here on our channel, we'll keep you updated with all the different versions. This one here is the i5 M60. So this is the M Performance model, and also with the M Sport Package Pro. That means the black frame around the double kidney. And also here the M logo. Lower part also, when you have the normal M Sport Package, looks sportier here. And mineral white is this exterior color. We have more colors for you. One of my favorite colors is here the frozen pure gray. There's also a deep frozen gray available. It would be a little bit darker, but here in the bright one, I think, yeah, that's what I really like. The matte paints here, by the way, you can always hear it when you feel them actually. The advantage is actually that they look cool, yes, and when it rains, it almost gets cleaned by itself. The disadvantage is when you have minor scratches, you cannot really easily, polish them or so, then you just have to repaint. So that's the downside. Well, and then another pro and con, the extra price here from a German configurator is 3,750 euros. But then again, all the matte paints are now bio-based. So when you pick a matte paint, it is actually more sustainable. So you could say like, when you argue at home, yeah, I need to go for the matte paint because, more sustainable and so on. And this is here the i5 M60 in fire red, so different color. Of course, you can also get all the colors for all the different powertrains. And this is also equipped with some more carbon fiber details, for example, at the side mirror. Or also in the rear, you can see this small spoiler in carbon fiber. And one more color for you is Brooklyn Gray, also one of my favorite colors. And here we can also see the direct comparison. Here with our i5 M50 and the M Sport Package Pro, we have the outer frame in black, and also here the inside part looks a little bit different. And here, this one here is the eDrive 40, so that means the rear-wheel drive standard or base electric version, base i5. And then this one only has the M Sport Pack, that means we have the sportier lower accentuations, but the outer kidney frame is still then bright. I think that really looks better. And also the inside of the double kidney, I think just looks more classic BMW here with the vertical fins. So if you ask me, compare this styling here, right, or it's on your left, right, on your left and to this right. So on your left, the styling, I like this one way better than this one here. What do you think? Tell me in the comments. Here, when I give a little bit of shade to the front double kidney, you can get this optional, the iconic glow. Then the frame is also illuminated. Adaptive LED, main headlamp unit, then the daytime running light here, or when you hit the turning indicators or hazard lights, they replace it and have this pulsing effect. And turning indicators in the rear, very wide. Yeah, this is definitely visible. The length is now at 5 meters 6 or 199 inches. That's 10 centimeters or 4 inches longer than the predecessor. Wheels from 18-inch to maximum 21. These are the biggest 21-inch wheels in this M design. Really impressive indeed. And you can also get these black contrasts here, the side mirrors, also in the lower part. You can see it has a very high contrast, especially to the mineral white color. In general, if you compare the BMW to the Mercedes, whereas Mercedes, both with the E-Class and also especially with the EQE, the EV version, goes more in the round direction. This one here more has this classic German angular styling. Very nice indentation here of the 5 logo, by the way. What do you think about the design, and also especially if you compare it to the competitors? Typical 3-box sedan styling, I like it, and also the angular shapes, really widely drawn tail lamps. And as for technology, let's start with the suspension. You have base suspension. You can go for an M Sport suspension, a fixed one. Also comes with the M Sport pack. You can also optionally go for the Adaptive Suspension Professional. That one always comes in a package with adaptive dampers and also rear axle steering. Goes 2.5 degrees in the opposite direction than the front wheels, reduces the turning circle. And for the M60 here, you can get the Adaptive M Suspension Professional. That one also adds an anti-tilt control that it stays more upright. And to be even more specific, the i5, so all the electric versions and the plug-in hybrids, because of more weight on the rear axle, always also get air suspension at the rear axle. And this vehicle here is also mineral white, but it does not have the M Sport pack. That means there's no black accentuations here. Here we have the air curtain, wind goes through there, and a little bit cleaner look all around, less sporty maybe, but I feel it maybe looks even a little bit sleeker that way without the M Sport package. Or what do you think? And also a crucial difference, this one here without the M Sport pack and also in the eDrive 40 version, so let's say the base electric version, has a CD value of 0.23, whereas the i5 M60 has 0.25. So there is a big difference in aerodynamics. And this one here is also 170 kilograms lighter because you only have the electric motor at the rear axle. So in our driving part later on, we'll do a comparison of consumption between the all-wheel drive and the rear-wheel drive model. And we'll also do a special feature on the highway assistance system. So there's a new autonomous driving feature where I just drive with my hands off, and it's even allowed. So more to come in the driving part very soon. Super interesting also here in the side profile. First of all, 20-inch wheels, so a little bit smaller, but still large, right? And then here we have chrome frames around the windows, a little bit more classic styling here also with the 5 indentation. And also in the lower part here, not a high gloss black in this non-super sporty version. And I think that's even more curious. Look at that, you know, when the light is shimmering right here, these structures inside, you can really feel it and see how the light is changing. So I feel that this styling is even cooler and fits the vehicle more. What do you think? And the rear of the base version, especially here in the lower part, here a little bit more silver contrast. And then you have a rather matte black in the lower part, whereas the M Sport versions would once again have this high gloss black diffuser style. So here, once again, a little bit more subtle. And I really have to say, really fell in love with this more simple styling here. This is the BMW app, and here we can show you that remote parking is possible, tap and hold. So for example, when it would be in a narrow parking lot or something, I can just control the car by my phone. So no one is driving here, I'm not faking it. So here I can press backward, there we go, there. And then I can ease the car out. So let's think about, you have a maybe like an old parking garage that is really narrow, where you can hardly open the doors because it was built for more narrow cars. That's the easy way, and then you can also take your car for a walk. Oh, good boy, good boy. Yeah, he was, you know, early in dog school, you know, and really learned to, you know, to drive by my side. I love that feature. To open and close the vehicle, use the smartphone app, or you can also use the classic key fob. I'm glad it's still the choice. Then here on the left side is more metal here in the M Sport or in the M60. So it's actually heavier. Interesting actually. Flush door handles here, but they still give a haptic feedback when you open them like this. So at the moment the car is closed, there we go, there it's open. You just need to hold a smartphone in your hand. It's also possible. Door closing sound. Yeah, I love that. Let's do it again. Beautiful, very solid door closing sound. Inside of the doors, soft touch material. all structured. Then it's even softer here a little bit for the elbows. And the window levers, they are mainly just black plastic, just have this, you know, this contrast on the top part. And you can see here this interior bar already begins right here, and there you can set the memory seating and so on, optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system. This one here is also the M Sport interior, which is also standard for the M60. Then you have the M steering wheel with the contrast stitches on the inside, sportier form. However, this one then is still animal material. The base steering wheel would also be vegan. That's also a step forward now. Then the seats, either you get sport seats as standard, I'm soon going to show you them, or these here are the optional comfort seats. They are a little bit more open in the upper area and also a little bit more comfy in the lower area. What I love, by the way, here, look at that. This is the lengthenment for the lower seating area. I pulled it all the way out and there is no gap left. So when you pull it out, there's no gap left where you can, you know, have like crumbles inside or whatever. So it's easy to clean and looks also clean. This is also the Veganza material, so it's completely animal-free, super soft and also as durable or even a little bit more durable than the animal skin alternative. And the seating comfort is indeed superb. So one of the best at the moment in the sedan segment. Same material is used in the 7 Series, by the way. The only difference is that the 7 Series might have a little bit higher Einsitzhöhe, listen and repeat, Einsitzhöhe, so a little bit more dampening underneath. The main thing is that both are available also here, perforation and also with the ventilation. That's, I think, pretty cool. The sport seat have a little bit more side support if you drive sportier. These here, however, the comfort seats will deliver more comfort. So overall, I think I would go for these here. As for headroom with 189 or 6'2", still have headroom left here. This then the one with the glass roof and the, I have to push it forward actually because it rolls in the front, so you have more headroom in the rear. So this one here, fixed glass roof, but with the shade when it gets really hot. I think it's very important. As an alternative, I heard that the US market still gets a small roof that you can actually also open. It won't be all the way then, but at least you can still open it. But there are always pros and cons about all different kinds of fixed roof, fixed glass roof, and also the openable glass roof. This could actually fill an hour itself talking about the pros and cons there. And these here are the sport seats as they would be standard for the M Sport Pack or for the M60. Here you can see the Veganza on the interior, sport seat form, perforation, and on the sides here in the top part, there you have Alcantara inserts. And they are also perforated, and the M colors here, red, blue and the bright blue, they shine basically from the background. And the same also accounts for the head restraint, Alcantara covering, perforated and also with this shiny background. Interior cockpit overview, you have this curved screen, but then 12.3 on the left, 14.9 inch on the right side. You have also, you can get this one here, this light bar, this ambient light bar, and it also switches according to the driving modes. For example, if you go to the sport mode, then here it turns red. The only thing I don't really understand, and it's better in the 7 Series, for example, here, this split. I think a light bar would need to go through on the very same horizontal level. Here it's kind of like here, and oh, where is it? Ah, there it continues. You know what I mean? Here you can also get a carbon fiber decal element, but also different decal elements are available. Soft touch on the top dashboard, and so much different, for example, to a Mercedes E-Class interior or a Mercedes EQE. So the layout is really very different. Steering wheel still with some physical buttons. It's a mix, so to speak. Right side here for the volume. BMW OS 8.5. Here, different home screen as well. And then you also have this app view where you can access everything. Yeah, it's really a lot. You have a YouTube app now. You can watch Bundesliga, and you also have the Air Console games for some gaming experiences, for example. And vehicle apps is always, for example, interesting because in the live vehicle app, there you also have the consumption data and so on. Then the Apple CarPlay integration looks like this, wireless, both also for Android Auto. And you can also have the maps here in the left instrument screen. Here, the climate unit is always in the lower part, and it's actually pretty cool here, the cool seats for the Veganza perforated material. However, to access them, actually, it's more complicated than with physical controls. Digital instruments, when I start up the vehicle, oh, you have the startup sound, and then simple and clean, left side speed, right side then the power, or then here for the electric version you can see also the recharging, and you can also change the whole content you want to see in the middle part.
that's possible. Also then, you know, like Apple Maps and so on. This is the car internal map. And you can also get a proper head-up display. In the front you have inductive charging pad, here also with some cooling holes. However, the disadvantage is it looks like two, but just the left side is for the recharging. The right side is just for storage basically. Then adaptive cup holders, two USB-C chargers, and we have still this control lever here. There you can also control the infotainment system while driving, and it also has a nice sound and still a normal volume jog right here. I like that. Here, this is where you control the driving modes. This is to me a little bit too complicated to do that while driving, because you have to click here and then in touchscreen, or then use this one. So a separate control for that would be better, I feel. And we have this split opening. I always like that for the storage right there. And listen to that, also with a nice closing sound. And here now, this is also the animal-free steering wheel. It has different styling. We know it from the BMW iX because the iX had this form, and now we'll also get as an update also the animal-free material. It feels a little bit different, but very similar. You wouldn't know it actually if you didn't, you know, if no one told you before. I feel it feels even a little bit softer. And as I said earlier, it is tested on at least the same durability actually. So it looks a little bit more futuristic, I feel. The other one, the M Sport, looks a little bit more sporty, definitely, but both have something, definitely. But this one, of course, then more animal friendly. And very interesting tip, by the way. You might remember this new EU law that when you exceed the speed, there's always this beeping and so on for very new vehicles. Mercedes were the first one to introduce a hotkey when you like hold the mute key. Here they did it in a similar way. So there's an exclusive information for you now. Here, set, that works on both steering wheels. Set and hold a little bit while driving. Then also this, you know, the special assistant that is always beeping is deactivated. However, you have to set it each time the car starts up again. When you shut down the vehicle, start again, that is actually mandatory by law. That's the only thing that manufacturers can do, is activate these hotkeys or short ways solutions to deactivate it quickly again. And here, by the way, also different decor element. This is like a dark wood with, you know, this shiny cover. Also not too bad. I usually prefer like matte open cell thing, you know, but yeah, definitely more decor elements are available, of course. And here you can also see how this different steering wheel looks in the whole cockpit setting. Rear seating area, it does fit 4 tall adults also in the rear, but it is a pain of this segment that also counts for the competitors, that considering the exterior length, you don't have so much space for your legs in the rear. Again, considering the package. However, it would fit even better when I put the front seat a little bit higher. Then the recess here at the back part of the seat would fit better, would fit better for the knees and also for my feet underneath the seat. What I found quite cool is that here we just have a USB-C charger and an iPad holder. It's actually a very easy and simple solution. The seating comfort itself is really good because of the soft material. This Veganza material is actually softer than the animal skin counterpart, and it is actually also in the passive way more breathable. I had recently a direct test, so they don't get too hot that easily. Then in the front you also have the ventilation. Here in the middle part, cup holders, they are adaptive, so I'm also happy here with the build quality and so on. You can also fold down this ski hatch right here. Oh, there's my lunch bag. See you later, lunch bag. And then in the lower part we have a climate unit that is all digital. It looks clean, however. Yeah, I mean, I do prefer always manual climate knobs, you know that. But I think it's reasonably simple. You can also get rear seat heating, as you can see, and 2 more USB-C chargers. And just as a proof, so because they pull in this shade for the glass roof in the front, I still have headroom here, also in the rear for tall passengers. And not to forget, also soft touch here for the rear doors on the inside. As for the trunk, wait a minute, what does as have to do with the trunk? As for the trunk or the boot, let's open it. We have 490 liters for the i5 or 520 liters for the combustion engine models. And you can see here, it's a little bit less than a meter or 40 inches in width. And the length is actually more than 40 inches or a meter. It's like 112 or 44 inches. So the difference is also the lower part. If you have a combustion engine model, then this one here is a little bit lower, but there's no space underneath. If you have a plug-in or
i5, then you have some space underneath, but it's a little bit higher overall. And you can also fold the seats, unlock them right here and here, but then you either have to push it with the luggage, that's possible, or have to go around, then you can also load through. Does it frunk or not here in the electric versions? Let's lift it. No, it does not, but wow, largest engine cover ever. Here also with some carbon fiber styling. At least it looks good, but some frunk would have been cool, wouldn't it? Then let's talk about the different engine specs. Overall, the acceleration figure for the new 5 Series ranges from 7.5 seconds, slowest, to 3.8 seconds. That is this one here, the i5 M60. Maybe later there will also be something else, like a true M version. We'll keep you updated with that. And there will also be a touring version if the sedan is not enough for you. Overall, there are pure petrol, pure diesel, plug-in hybrid petrol, and the all-electric versions. The full engine lineup is really very wide. We have it in the pinned comment and also in the video description for you that you can check it out. Electric specific, you get a battery of 81 kilowatt hours net. What concise range we can score with that, we're going to find out today in our driving test later on. As for recharging, less than 30 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge. Difference in the two versions so far, as a rear-wheel drive version only, that one then around 6 seconds in the acceleration figure, or this one here, the all-wheel drive electric version, the M60 with 3.8 seconds in the acceleration figure, then one electric motor per axle, but the rear one will always be the stronger one. And there will also be an all-wheel drive electric version coming up, which is not the M version, so something in between. And now to the driving part of the all-new 5 Series. Oh wait, wrong vehicle. Acceleration first, i5 M60 all-wheel drive, 3.8 seconds in the acceleration figure officially. And what can we score? We go here to the sport mode. You can see here already the red accentuations. We use this empty parking lot. Let's go. Oh, that was 90. Whoo! Whoo! And you also heard the iconic sounds. So that is then whoo, that you have this sound feedback as well, because there's obviously no sound feedback from the engine there. Wait a minute. If you ask yourself now, is that possible even quicker? Yes, it is. If I hold the boost pedal while rolling already, that is possible. Or if I do now standstill and launch control, left pedal here with my left foot, right pedal with my right foot, with the launch control and the boost function, you can get a little bit more torque even out of this vehicle. Let's try and see the difference. Michel? Oh, Michel bailed now. Obviously that was too much for him. No, to be honest, he's filming it from the outside for a reel. Anyway, let's go. Oh, that was more than 100 already. Whew! Wow, I mean, super quick in both cases, definitely. Here, just a little notch. An interesting thing is, you don't get more horsepower, but just a little bit more torque out of the boost function, or then here the launch control, here boost function. Then for 10 seconds, I have this extra boost always available. Yeah. Again, launch control only when stationary, boost then also while rolling already. Whew. Wow. Was there any difference? We have to check the time codes, but it also might vary then depending on where you are exactly. And then we continue driving uphill here. Wow, that's really a lot of artificial sound. However, you can also turn that off. I can also show that to you very soon, no problem. Here, one more time. Uphill, it doesn't even feel like going uphill because you have so much power here. Wow, amazing. Then hammering the turning indicator, that's always a lot of fun. Let's just do it one more time. That sounds beautiful. And you can also accelerate out of the corner here very well. Look at how calm the steering remains. So you accelerate very hard, but you remain in control all the time. That's really cool. Then the steering feel, let's see, here in the sport mode. Reactions also from the low degree angle actually, and also how it gets to the outside.
Yeah, it feels actually quite cool. Let's see the difference in the driving modes. Yeah, switching the driving modes is actually not that easy to do, I feel. Always have to go this and then that one. So here, normal personal driving mode. Yeah, it's a little bit softer then. Let's go back. My mode's in sport again. Yeah, then I have a little bit more feedback then. So overall, quite happy with that.
Did you also
Here,
feel the side bolsters?
side bolsters. With
the sports mode.
So
Did you also
yeah,
feel
good
that?
remark from Michelle. Yeah, in sport, in the personal mode gets a little bit wider, and then in the sport mode, yeah, they close a little bit in. That's actually a nice feature. Yeah, pretty cool actually. Nice. So slalom-wise, stays really upright. Here we have the adaptive M suspension. That means dampers are adaptive, and there's also the anti-tilt control in the rear. And since this is the i5, we also have the rear axle air suspension. So yeah, suspension-wise is not a very easy logic here. There are so many different choices, so that's why I also went in depth to explain all of that. And we also have the 21-inch wheels here mounted, so the biggest ones that are available. So far the road is quite even and nice and so on. But let's also find out about the bumps and so on, if it gets really uncomfortable or something. But so far, he's actually quite nice. And the car feels lighter and sportier than the size or the weight might suggest. That's, of course, always something they want to achieve. These red traffic lights they probably only put here in Portugal that you can do another sprint. Yeah. The truth is, they turn red when you're driving too fast. I want to show you here my modes. When we're just in the personal mode and then accelerate, you feel it's just a little bit then, So when you're in sport mode, it's more enhanced, and also when you hit the throttle a little bit harder, then it is even more enhanced. To turn that off, actually, do stuff like this while driving is always a little bit, I don't know. Then you have to search for that. You are in the vehicle apps, and it's driving settings, and then here iconic sounds off here. By that, and even when I then go into the sport mode, I would then accelerate. You see, there's just nothing. And if you prefer this or that, it's really a matter of personal preference. So tell me, would you actually like it completely silent, or would you actually prefer to have these iconic sounds on? There we go. And especially in sports mode. I mean, when you don't hammer it that hard, then it's quite okay. So you can live with that in everyday driving life. No problem at all. So how does it feel from the previous generation 5 Series? Although this one here is the electric one and the battery, and there wasn't a full electric one in the previous generation, they managed actually by that suspension setup and all the fine tunings that it does not feel heavier. So that is to me one of the key findings. And you might remember our i7 versus 7 Series review where we compared the petrol and the electric one, and BMW really manages that their vehicles, when they're in the electric version or the combustion engine versions, more or less feel the same. There is indeed not much difference in driving fun, agility, and so on. And that's, I think, a very, very good achievement. Remember, with Mercedes, comparing that, E-Class versus EQE, they used a completely different platform. Yes, they also share parts, but there they really split their electric thing and their combustion engine thing, whereas BMW has this approach here to react a little bit quicker to the changing demand, that they put everything on one platform. So then again, the wind efficiency here is not the best, especially if you go for one here in the M Sport. So the CD value indeed varies a lot according to the package or the version you have on the exterior here with the 5 Series. So that might be also some tricky thing. If you want to have it more efficient while driving, do not go for the M Sport Pack. The non-M Sport Pack versions, the base versions, will be more aerodynamic. Very important to know for that. We will later on also drive the rear-wheel drive pure version. Then you can also, compare the acceleration and so on. Of course, here you can use the power at any time, but you don't have to, actually, if you don't want to. The overall driving feeling here is very calm and collected. It is that typical business sedan we know from BMW. And if you compare it now to the 7 Series, for example, How can you really compare that as for the driving feeling? It is actually kind of similar. The 7 Series feels bigger, feels heavier. Here, the seats already deliver superb comfort. Maybe the 7 Series seats a little bit more plush as for the so-called Einsitzhöhe, as I said. But here you pay so much less money, although it's not a cheap vehicle at all. But you already get some kind of 7 Series feeling. So I feel that the difference between 5 and 7 Series has also become now a little bit closer with this generation. At the same time, you have somewhat the agility of the 3 Series. Also, like with the Mercedes E-Class, I feel that E-Class and 5 Series in their model lineup overall are somewhat the sweet spot. That becomes obvious, especially while driving these ones here. Then let's here test always some assistance systems on the countryside road. I have set the active cruise control. So this is primarily meant to do on the motorway. We'll also give you a special insight on that as for the automatic lane change and this autonomous feature. But here when you set it like on a normal tone, even here on the countryside road, where it's not like the specialty thing usually meant for the motorway driving, it follows the lane very well. It keeps the car centered even if you don't steer it yourself. So the elaboration of the assistance system is really on a high level already. Noise insulation wise, it's also super silent in here. Later again with a little bit higher speed, but here at lower speeds you hardly hear anything from the outside environment. It really gives you a very, very calm feeling, together with the superb comfort here of the Veganza seats. And even if you wouldn't have seat cooling, they would remain quite cool. But here I can, for example, set like level 1 of seat cooling by that. This is, by the way, also an advantage if you compare it to the 7 Series. The 7 Series actually does not offer seat ventilation together with the perforated Veganza seats. Strange decision, definitely, but you have it here with the 5 Series. So, yeah, I mean, even going long mileage here, I can very well imagine that. Great, now we've found a destroyed road that is about to be redone. Therefore, it's really bumpy and so on. But remember, 21-inch wheels, and usually these large wheels mean no comfort at all, So I always say, like, go for smaller wheels. But here, although it's a destroyed road, it feels like nothing. So I'm really impressed by this suspension. I mean, it's not a full air suspension, even here in the electric one or the plug-in hybrid and so on. It is just the rear axle air suspension, but you don't feel that. It is still a very comfortable ride. So the adaptive dampers here by BMW have always been very good. They have been so good that usually you do not miss an air suspension. So even if you would have a combustion engine version where you have no rear axle air suspension and so on, they would do absolutely fine. Of course, base suspension would also be interesting in the test later on. Usually these test vehicles here are very, very high spec. But here with the adaptive suspension, not only does it fulfill sporty purposes, you also consider how it's not getting super loud, although there was this construction work here. So sporty side definitely did deliver, but also here on the comfort side, yeah, and if you want it even softer, then you would indeed go with a little smaller wheels. 21-inch wheels also have the disadvantage that they sometimes get easily scratched and so on, So I would maybe like 20 as a maximum compromise or something. But yeah, because 21 is definitely super, super large. More features here, for example, augmented reality feature. I have here the camera view and also an arrow then. Right here when I have the car internal GPS set. So there's this displayed arrow that they have to turn around. And here we can also experience the rear axle steering. So although the car is long, has a long wheelbase and so on, rear axle steering makes it really possible to have narrow turning circles. That's actually pretty cool. And you also feel that the rear comes a little bit around, so to speak, so that these guys pass. There we go. And also when you accelerate out, for example, you feel, it doesn't feel too artificial in this case because they don't have the widest degree angle. And there's always the discussion, when you have a wider angle, it feels a little bit more artificial. Then again, you can reduce the turning circle more. So they didn't want to exaggerate it in a way. But still, it's a very cool feature to have. At low speeds, you feel it. when you drive a little bit faster, it moves in the parallel direction anyway. So then you wouldn't have this effect. You have more stability than in this case. But definitely very cool feature to have it, to make life a little bit easier, especially when parking in and out and so on. And yeah, it doesn't take anything away from the fun while driving. Noise insulation when being here on the motorway, around 120 kilometers an hour, so like 70 miles an hour. It's really good. Here the tarmac is a little bit rougher. Here a little bit more tire noise. The one we were on before was a little bit less. Will change soon again. But the overall, wind noise and so on is really low. Feels super comfortable. This vehicle here, I switched the vehicle now just to test some more variety, is by the way equipped with these sport seats. They are also good, but definitely I feel it now, especially on long motorway journeys, rather take the comfort seats. They just bring you that extra amount of comfort. These ones here are a little bit stiffer, so the comfort seats a little bit softer than in the dampening. So they overall just give you more comfort, and especially since you have this electric feature where in the sport mode, for example, they get a little bit closer. It's also not a problem that they in general have a little bit less side support than the ones I'm sitting on here. So my choice would be the comfort seats, and then probably in the bright Veganza then. First consumption test, we ended up with about 19 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. So that would mean a real world concise range of 430 kilometers or 270 miles. And we're also testing the assistance systems, and there's big news coming up right now. First of all, here the adaptive cruise control and the active lane keeping assist, told you about that. But now it's also possible to get an extra package for the Plus package. And in front of us is also a vehicle. And first of all, I can take my hands off, and I can also look into the mirror, look to the left to initiate a lane changing actually automatically. Let's see, let's try it again here. There we go. So I'm looking into the side mirror and the car is automatically changing the lane. I did not do anything with my hands. I just looked into the mirror. What is not possible is that I just look into the mirror right now and then the car is changing the lane. That doesn't work that way. So the car first has to give me the offer that situation is ready to do that. You might ask yourself, why would that be necessary in a way here overall? I mean, it is a little bit more relaxed just to keep your hands down, and it is not meant that you take out your smartphone or something and start texting or whatever. So because it's still level 2, that means you are still responsible. So when I have an accident, it's my responsibility. Difference to the level 3 autonomous driving that Mercedes, for example, is offering. There the car isn't responsible. However, that one is restricted to 60 kilometers an hour, like 30 miles an hour. Here, however, this one works until 130 kilometers an hour or 80 miles an hour. And that's, of course, a better usage because I can also do it here at higher speeds here on the motorway. It will be allowed so far in the US, in Canada, and also in Germany. In Germany, they also got a special allowance for that. That is also something very new because so far it is not allowed at all. Here now you can see a car changes into our lane. The vehicle is doing that very well, and yeah, I'm really impressed how smooth the whole system is working. So there are no hectic movements. Everything goes via the flow, and sometimes, you need to get used to these systems, or you may be like, I don't really trust in the vehicle or so. But because everything is so smooth and controlled, you really have full trust in the vehicle, and don't think, oh my god, what's going on? No, it's actually kind of relaxing, really. So the ambulancia is not moving over. It is kind of weird, The last time I've driven. Check traffic to switch so that I can check it. So I go over. Yeah, there we go. So the last time I've driven in such autonomous way, and it was at that point legal in Germany, actually was with the Tesla Model S, and that was 10 years ago. Then they realized that wasn't really up to, they couldn't really do that in all situations. So that was disallowed then. Yeah, but now we are back here. Autonomous driving is still a long way ahead, definitely, to go fully autonomous, and also that the car is doing that all on its own. But here, this is definitely one of the next steps, and it works here at reasonable speeds, you know. So, yeah, definitely more relaxing to keep my hands down, and maybe a little bit easier than when you're talking to someone, maybe to the camera, for example. So now someone is overtaking us. We also have a blind spot monitor, by the way, for my information, definitely not maybe necessarily for the car yet. Yeah, but once again, looking here, I can't do the change, and when the next car would be in front of us, we need to overtake. Then again, I can do the next overtaking action. So overall, I think the system works very, very well. So you might wonder, why is this actually allowed, and how do they keep track of the driver? Because, you know, I'm not supposed to take my smartphone and so on. I'm actually being tracked by the vehicle. And this works by analyzing my head and my eyes, you know, and when the car, for example, detects that I'm really super distracted, I mean, we can try it out, right? Maybe I do like, I just pretend to, you know, use my smartphone. There we go. Driver distraction detected, stay attentive. So then, there we go. Oh, sorry, I'm still here. So you see, that works really, really quickly. And we can do another test actually. So now I'm closing one of my eyes. I'm still looking, and there's this infrared sensor, and it even works with sunglasses actually. I can also show you that very soon, but first of all, here, one eye closed is okay, but now I'm doing something that's not allowed. I just do it for you. I trust the vehicle just with my eyes closed. Don't do this, don't try it at home. Just want to check that. There we go. So the car is saying, like, you know, first warning. And if I would then continue that, then it would actually at some time abort and also hit the brake automatically, and so on and so on. And yeah, what about I mean, this could be like a use case, you know, where I can, for the first time, then also like change my glasses quickly like this. I don't need any help. So now sunglasses. See, there's no difference. Only if I would close my eyes behind my sunglasses, then again, it would be a problem. So, yeah, very interesting how these systems are working technologically, but you see that they are really working very flawlessly. Now the eDrive 40, rear-wheel drive only. Go also to the sport mode, and let's see about this acceleration here. Let's go. That's 100. That also went really quick, so official figure is 6 seconds. We started a little bit in the corner, but I did that also on purpose to see how the car reacts, and that was also really smooth, you know, so full control over the steering, and of course rear-wheel drive only then in this case, really good traction and so on. Actually pretty cool, and more than enough really. The other one, the all-wheel drive version, is really great in the performance. This one here is already quick. Definitely would be enough for me. There is also one advantage to it, and that is when you accelerate out of the corners. Yes, it might not be that performing on paper, you know, like numbers-wise, seconds-wise. But then again, when you accelerate out of corners, you always have rear-wheel drive only. Yes, the all-wheel drive version is also rear-wheel biased. Still, when you have a rear-wheel drive only vehicle, you always get out of the corners a little bit better because, you know, it just helps to push the car out of it, you know. So that's something that just comes natural by physics, basically. And I really like this rear-wheel drive only feeling. So that could be an argument to say like, hey, I don't spend so much money, go for the all-wheel version, and the 6 seconds here is just enough for me, and I'm fine with that. Top speed is different. Here, 180 kilometers an hour, so 180 kilometers an hour or 112 miles per hour, whereas the other one, the M60, would go 230 kilometers an hour. So that is like 135 miles per hour, right? I think. Yeah, I mean, you can argue about that. If you really need that, might be a German thing only. Other markets probably won't care so much. About recuperation, by the way. So either you have the adaptive recuperation set, and then it's a little bit like cruise control. If there's no one in front of me, I'm rolling. And when there's someone in front of me, then it's also reducing the speed. You mainly do the recuperation if you need it stronger than via the brake pedal. And they use all of the recuperation that's possible. And if there's then even more braking needed, then the rear brakes are being applied. Or you can hit here the shifting lever. Then you go to the B mode. And then when you lift your foot off the throttle, then here strong regenerative braking immediately. And this is then a one pedal driving feeling. But the BMW philosophy is more to keep it with this adaptive recuperation actually. Suspension wise, here in this case we do not have the anti-tilt control at the rear axle. Is that a problem? I mean, in normal driving you don't realize it that much. You would realize it more actually when you're really always quick corner driving really fast, then it might make a difference. But it's not that it would be a great game changer or something. Another difference we feel here, of course, is the steering wheel, which is the vegan one, completely animal-free. It has this different look. Also, by driving, it gives you a little bit more futuristic look, less classic look. So the traditional look of the M Sport steering wheel reminds you more of existing models and so on. You don't have to get used to something else. Here with the open spoke design, it's also actually quite cool by driving. I even have the feeling that it gives you a little bit better visibility. If that's a factor, not blocking your view that much, but maybe just very 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 small level. It's really more about the feeling. Here I feel more, hey, I'm in a more modern car. The other one's like, hey, I'm more in this interesting traditional sporty vehicle. From the feeling, from the surface material, I feel that this one even feels softer. So I like the feeling even better. Visually wise, yeah, I think I'm not quite sure. First of all, I thought that the M steering wheel is more beautiful to me visually, but now I feel like actually it fits to the vehicle, especially if that's here the i5. You know what I mean? But I think you'll be happy with both stylings, definitely. As for the form itself, it doesn't make such a big difference, because when you have your hands correctly set here at the sides of the steering wheel, then the difference in the steering feeling is not that different. And do you feel that this vehicle here, the rear-wheel drive only version, eDrive 40, is lighter? Maybe a little bit. Yeah, but I think that's not the crucial thing, that you really feel that it's lighter. The crucial thing is that you feel it's rear-wheel drive only. Yes, it's a little bit slower, but in a way, it kind of also feels more natural and agile by that. But what will be even more interesting is, what I said initially, it is this 175 kilograms lighter, and also 2 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers, or like a quarter of a mile per kilowatt hour better in the official consumption figure. And that has to do, first of all, with less weight, of course, and then also better aerodynamics. Because remember, that's a very interesting point here, 0.25 for the M60 with the M Sportback. And if we would have this one here as the very base version, even without the M Sportback, it could score 0.23, and that is also a crucial difference. So let's see what we can score then here as for the concise consumption. So far, you might remember, just to remember again, around 19 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometers. So yeah, it was a little bit more than 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Now this is super interesting. Remember, with the i5 M60, our consumption was like 19 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, so a little bit more than 3 miles per kilowatt hour. It was a little bit worse when we had more motorway share. Now actually went to the eDrive 40 pure rear-wheel drive, and we scored some 17 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. That's 3.6 miles per kilowatt hour. So clearly better. So 2.5 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer is better. So yeah, that's 3/4 of a mile per kilowatt hour better. That means with the all-wheel drive version, a realistic range of 430 kilometers, or 250, 270 miles. And here with the rear-wheel drive only version, the eDrive 40, we are at 480 kilometers of realistic range. That's about 300 miles. And that means when you go this eDrive 40, you gain about 50 kilometers or 30 miles of range. That means, and if you also think about the everyday usage and so on, and that the rear-wheel drive only version is also a lot of fun and way less expensive. If you go for the electric 5 Series, definitely this one here, the eDrive 40, is way to go. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge with the BMW 5 Series new generation. Finally here, the combustion engine version that makes also use of the sport mode. So going some gears lower, for example, and also turning up the RPM. I can also, when I here turn back the shifting lever, then going into the S shifting mode. So this basically the difference. So I can even more enhance that the gears are even lower, and then I can also accelerate out a little better here, for example, out of the corner. Lane changing, really nicely done. Adaptive suspension is also a little bit sportier here in that sport mode, a little bit stiffer. So this adaptive suspension is also an active adaptive suspension where you can adjust the dampers. And here, very clear road, got some slalom left and right, really nice. The steering is really sporty, it doesn't have some dead zone area or something. The only thing is that it can feel a little bit unnatural, so it feels very sporty, but you don't feel so connected to the road, I have to say. But although they have made that 5 Series longer in wheelbase, yeah, it still feels really sporty and also engaging, It is a large sedan, but at the same time, it always gives you the feeling of, hey, let's drive a little bit sporty. And for example, finally deactivated seat heating here because it was colder before. Heated steering wheel, don't need any more. There we go. Yeah, that is also one of the things again with the user interface. Now from 80 kilometers an hour, accelerated out, 120. Come on. And 150. Yeah, I think we have enough power here. This typical commuting engine if you want to keep low in the entry price. And 180. There we go. And it's still reasonably silent here on the German Autobahn, although we are at really, really high speeds. This vehicle here feels at home on the German Autobahn. This is one of the Autobahn vehicles, definitely. At the same time, we can always go back to the driving mode selector here, but then I always have to look down to find it. Go to the personal mode, and then activate the cruise control here. Car is being kept in the lane, although we have really high speeds, no problem at all, and also such a smooth transitions. So you don't even feel that the assistance systems would be turned on. Sometimes you have vehicles where it's like, they are undrivable unless I deactivate everything that is on offer, But here you can leave everything in place, and it still feels really nice. So, and this is such a hard thing to do. Recently we saw all of the Chinese manufacturers pushing to the European market, and they have great hardware and they have good EV technology and so on. But their fine-tuning of assistance systems and everything that is connected to driving and the interface and everything that might possible, like beep and blink and so on, that is something where the Germans still have such experience, and you do feel that here also in the BMW 5 Series. Everything is really, really refined. One more lane change here at higher speeds. Nicely done. Here in the personal mode, the steering feel is to me even too light. In the sport mode, it's better. But of course, you can also personalize your own settings here and, for example, go for a mode that includes like a heavier steering and so on. But you see here, doing things in that infotainment system while driving is very distracting. And even though you can control it from here, which is a good thing, you really have to know what you're doing, and you need to have, let's say, experience in handling this infotainment system. And to me, that doesn't speak for it. It's just not intuitive at all. And I would wish it would be more intuitive. Yeah, I tend to concentrate on driving anyway. Yes, that's very important. Oh, there's in front of us a Jaguar XF, which would also be a competitor here in this segment. yeah, if Jaguar hasn't been almost stopped as a brand, you know, no idea what happened there in the past years. There's nothing new coming there, no updates and so on. They will put Jaguar all EV eventually, and then maybe we will see some more new updates as for that. Very cool with the big speed there, and I can also have the head-up display in my line of sight. That's nice. Oh, and I really like to hammer in these indicator stalks here. Like, just listen to that. Just sounds beautiful, doesn't it? So yeah, these are small little details I really appreciate while driving. We can, by the way, also go back to the normal D driving mode. And we can also activate the cruise control here once again with the lane keeping assist. So when it's a little bit more traffic, you can always relax with that one a little bit more. Yeah, and you can trust the car pretty much with it, but of course it's still mandatory to keep your hands on the steering wheel. It's also with, let's see how long it takes actually to react. It wants me to take the hands. There we go. And then I just touch it slightly here to see it's a capacitive control. And then the steering wheel detects, hey, I'm still here. And don't need to do it like a shutdown or something. Here now, 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour. Really silent as for the tire noise, as for the wind noise going around and so on. No problem at all. Lane change, very nicely done. Another one. So it gives you really the sporty, engaging feeling. That's pretty cool. And the rear axle steering is just at 2.5 degrees, where the rear axle turns in the opposite direction than the front wheels. It's not too much, but it still helps you in U-turns, parking in and out, easing the car in and out of the basement garage. At the same time, when it's limited, it doesn't give you like this artificial feeling, you know. So you hardly feel the rear axle steering. Still, it is there. And at higher speeds, it steers in the parallel direction a little bit, anyways. So you don't feel this, you know, this fake short wheelbase effect. Then at higher speeds, yeah. If there's one thing I could wish for, it would definitely be that the steering is a little bit more natural in the feeling. Definitely better in the sport mode, worse in the normal mode. I'm not sure if you've seen it as well. When I go to the sport mode here, for example, and let's imagine I have the GPS set here. It always sticks once again to this image there. I think I had one software version in the smaller ones, smaller vehicles, where it switched back. But here again, it's like that. Yeah, but at least it's fitting here. With that sports view, that's also pretty cool that they then both adapt to this new sporty screen, and easily we are once again back at speed. By the way, this 520D, around 6 liters for more kilometers. The fuel economy is like 39 mpg US, 47 mpg UK, which is kind of decent, definitely for the size of the vehicle. Now lane change at higher speeds, German Autobahn special today. Yeah, feels really pretty much at home. And these Veganza comfort seats are the best ones you can get for this model here. In the i7 they are a little bit more plush, but here already pretty good. And of course this one here, more accessible, just cheaper than the i7, but of course not cheap at all. They do demand premium pricing, that's for sure here. But what a very impressive ride we had here once again on the Autobahn with the BMW 5 Series. Difference to the i5, to the electric versions. Of course the M60 it is of course way more powerful, acceleration and so on. But they do come very close in the driving feeling. So BMW has managed that no matter which drivetrain you pick, all of their individual models feel kinda similar. So that's very interesting. However, here it does feel lighter. Yes, the EVs, they are just so much heavier. They have also the low center of gravity because the battery pack's in the center low part of the vehicle. However, you can't deny, especially when you're pushing into the corners, you just feel that the car is more agile and lighter here with less weight on board. But that only happens when you really push it and then going into the corners. And then that all of the powertrains drive very, very well.
So as for styling, I'm definitely here with the base look and not with the M Sport. It also has something definitely here, you know, but I prefer it a little bit less sinister, but a little bit more classy. I think it fits the vehicle a little bit better. Interior, especially the best comfort here with the seats. I think also best in segment if you go with the comfort seats. So also the setup we had with this vehicle here, the Veganza comfort seats. And then also here the vegan steering wheel is also available. They are also pushing forward in that respect. That is also really, you can just applaud them for them actually. Then as for driving, it is so engaging still. And even the rear-wheel drive version, more power than you ever need basically already. Of course the all-wheel drive version is really the performance car. But I think especially if you look at the efficiency factor, if you go for the i5, then this eDrive 40 is way to go because it just gives you this extra mileage, this extra range you might need. In comparison to the Mercedes E-Class or the Mercedes EQE, I feel especially the E-Class has this typical E-Class floaty ride, whereas the 5 Series more goes into the engaging ride. This is like the main difference. Other than that, they are actually in the segment very similar, but then again, exterior, interior, way different. But not in a way of that one is super much better than the other one, more in a way of personal preference a lot actually. The biggest difference indeed is that the BMW here, no matter if combustion engine, plug-in, the mix between all, then the i5 is always on the same platform, whereas the Mercedes split in Mercedes E-Class and the EQE, they are also a little bit different to each other once again. Yes, SUVs are on the surge, but the BMW 3 Series remains one of the core BMW models, as sedan or as estate touring, of course. Here now, recently facelifted, we have today the 330i sedan for you with Thomas and Autogefühl. Let's take a closer look in full HD. Wait a minute, we have 4K now. Full 4K, full screen and full length. Let's go. What an impressive stance the 3 Series has already as a standard model now, especially since the facelifted version where you have this shark nose accentuation right here in the grille. Then this one is equipped with the M Sport package. That means we have sporty accentuations here, different graphic in the lower part. And as for the double kidney and also the accentuations in the kidney, you can get different versions. For example, bright frame, this one here, a black frame, you can get in the extended shadow line. And then also what you have here on the inside. Here it's all the way black with the extended shadow line, but you can also, for example, get them bright inside here. You really have to check the configurator for the individual options. It's a little bit complicated and there are a lot of options, but at least then you can get the ones to your liking. Headlamps have also been upgraded here. Nice integration and transition from the grille. Here blue accentuations and also different LED specs are available. The ones you see here are the adaptive LED headlamps, and you can see here the daytime running light. When you have the turning indicator activated, the outer part switches to the turning indicator of that daytime running light. This is very beautiful integration. The rear turning indicator appears right here underneath this rear signature. This also looks pretty modern. The length at 4.71 m or 185 inches. Here we have 18-inch wheels today in black M styling. You can get up to 19-inch wheels. 18-inch would be the standard size for the M Sport package. This one also has the M Sport package Pro with even more sporty accentuations. Here, by the way, you have also the M badge then, also in the M Sport pack, and you can see here high gloss black around the windows then. Standard would be a normal black, then you can also get these high gloss black, but you can also go for the classic chrome styling if you prefer that. Let's talk about the suspensions, because you get a base suspension, then a fixed M suspension or the adaptive M suspension. What do you realize? Yes, two of them are actually with this very sporty accentuation, and we'll talk more about it in the driving part today, which is the best choice for you. Also, what a strong rear design here. I think it just looks really awesome. And here, when you get these optional M Sport package or Sport package Pro, you have even more accentuations. For example, this additional spoiler then with the black contrast, also in the lower part, then here, diffuser style and real exhaust tips. So no job for the Autogefühl fake exhaust police here for today. The tail lamps have this three-dimensional shape and a beautiful horizontal integration. 330i is one of the most common models actually, the 2-liter 4-cylinder in this case then. With 258 horsepower, you also see this 4-cylinder visualization. And you get 4- and 6-cylinder engines, 2-liter or 3-liter, both petrol and diesel side, ranging from 150 to 374 horsepower in the M340i. And of course, besides that, there's still the M3. This is the car key, which also has M colors here at the side when you have this M Sport Pack, and then you just use your one finger to close it, and here also the mirrors fold in. That's, I think, always a nice option. And you put your hand on the inside to open it like this. Door closing sound is okay, can be better, I think, but yeah, I can definitely live with it. Oh no, I closed it again. There we go, and let's open it. So the inside of the doors is soft touch here on the top part, that's nice. And also the build quality here at the handles and the window levers, I really love that. Matte styling, not a lot of high gloss stuff, that's really good. This spec then also here with the M entry badge, that looks beautiful. And we also have the M steering wheel. You can see it here, there's different form, and also has the M badge right here. A nice option is always the heated steering wheel, good for winter times. And I appreciate that we still have real buttons at the steering wheel here, for example, for the cruise control. More assistance systems are standard with that facelift. And also the biggest change, look at that, this curved screen, one layout. There are 2 individual screens, yes, but it appears it would be one. And it is a new integration, also the OS 8, the newer BMW operating system. The seats here, in this case animal skin. However, you can also get perforated center tech in different colors, like red as well, but also black or beige, and depending on the market. But there are most markets now standard, and German market, for example, also receives some fabric seats or fabric Sensatex mix. So it depends on the market how much choice you have actually. The perforated Sensatex seats are, by the way, softer as for the surface and also more breathable because they are perforated. So I do prefer them as for the seating comfort and as for sustainability. The whole circle, really, you know, from production process to later on recycling or reusing is better with them. I already did a deep dive with that together with BMW engineers and so on, and they also ensure actually the same or even more durability due to long-term testing. Here the seating position, steering wheel up and down, in and out, very smooth process, I like that. And the headroom here in the front, 189 or 6'2" in height, still a lot of headroom left. There is also a panoramic roof option available if you like. The seat ergonomics, however, could be a little bit better. I found that the base seat form, for example, is in this segment better with the Audi A4 and A5 or with the Volvo V60 or then the S60. So BMW, yeah, because in Germany we say BMW. So BMW is BMW. There's also a separate episode, by the way, about pronunciation of German car brands. We also have that on our channel. So the base seat ergonomics, not the best in this segment here. You get long, yes. The 5 Series will also be better. We also have a comparison test, 3 Series versus 5 Series. So yeah, so many other videos here to discover on our channel, definitely. 12.3 on the left, 14.9 on the right. Really clean layout, nice integration of the ambient lighting right here. The only knob you can still turn is here for the volume. Everything else uncluttered. So the AC unit is no more here, but it is here in the screen. Okay. Now here the BMW OS 8, you see here when you show all the apps, it's just overloaded. The OS 7 was easier. You have to focus in a way. I'm missing the vehicle hotkey right here because I like to be able to access here. You go into vehicle apps and then live vehicle. This screen I like to access a little bit faster actually. But here, what is cool, visualization here in this Melbourne red exterior color also looks great here on the inside. And this is actually an accurate average consumption here for the 2-liter 4-cylinder. And most of the time you will probably use the Apple CarPlay Android Auto. When you cancel the route guidance, then you get to the car internal GPS, which also has some landmark visualization. That's also nice, and it's also quite responsive. Indeed. So you get along with the system a little bit better, and the wireless connection is, to me, and I feel, also a little bit more reliable. As for the sound system, Harman Kardon sound here is really very nice, a very true in-depth sound, really like that.
And one of the other advantages is when you have here the Apple Maps, for example, or then Google Maps inside Android Auto, then actually you can also get this map in the digital instruments, which have this function that you can switch the content through here, like assistant systems, here, and then there it is. This is then the map from the Apple CarPlay. Only works with Apple Maps and Apple CarPlay, not Google Maps. Google Maps just works when you have the Android Auto connection. Yeah, it's probably some Apple thing. It's not BMW's fault, actually, in this case. Otherwise, you can also have the car internal GPS right there. And you can also switch the whole layout like this or like this. But I actually prefer the more, let's say, centralized layout we had initially, but that's of course just a matter of preference. One of the things I don't like is that we have here the climate unit now in the screen. Yes, it works, it stays in that same place, but I'm not sure. Am I too old school to prefer the real dials? And if you, by the way, go to the climate menu here, there's one thing that was done with software update here. AC on and off, that, you know, function where you can have the air more or less humid then, for the real cooling in summertime. And BMW listened to our reviews and also customer feedback that they have re-integrated this as a function which they initially didn't have. You can also then control the vent strength here, for example, and also the seat heating, but that is then always done in the screen unless you use the voice control. Hey BMW, activate seat heating.
Sure, I will activate the seat heating for the driver.
Ooh. And the head-up display, always great to have. I adjusted the brightness as well. It doesn't flicker on the rear eye, by the way. And even in here, these information GPS are actually from the Apple Maps. So that's very peculiar. Here in the lower part, I think it's really cool that you have this surface which is not high gloss black. So not getting fingerprints or scratches and so on. And below that here we have adaptive cup holders and inductive charging pad. And it's also cool that you can still control the infotainment system from here, especially while driving, and also with some hotkeys here like map and stuff. And this is special with the facelift. All now get automatic transmission, 8-speed, and with this very short shifting lever, not the real one. Yes, it looks sleeker and cleaner here, but for BMW, I would prefer the real thing. Or what's your take? And this is where you switch through the driving modes. We'll talk more about that actually in depth when we drive it very soon. And under the armrest, there then you have the USB-C charger and some more space. You wonder about the stickers, by the way? Maximum 240 kilometers an hour. This is here. With these winter tires, it says, mit diesen Winterreifen. Listen and repeat. Winterreifen. Winter tires in Germany. So these are these stickers that the winter tires are only allowed to drive maximum 240 kilometers an hour. Yes, very important information for the German Autobahn. Yeah, such a German thing, right? 240 kilometers an hour. I even don't drive that fast on the Autobahn. The rear head restraints here have a nice functionality. You can fold them up then, so they're then functional, and here you can press and fold them back. That way you have a better visibility again to the rear when you're not using them. Soft touch also for the rear doors. That's actually nice. So very good build quality. And then, yeah, it's quite dark in here in the rear. The only bright accentuations are these contour stitches from the M package here. Really nice. So, yeah, it's an option once again, but it brings some more color in here. And in the middle console, you have two USB-C chargers now. Seating comfort here is not the best in the rear, I have to say. A little bit limited here from the shoulder area. The bench itself is actually quite okay, not too long though. And you don't have much legroom when you're a tall person here. So I would need the driver's seat to be a little bit higher, then I fit better with my knees in that recess here. Then it's okay. So it works with 4 tall adults, but it's close. Competitors are also not that much better, but still it doesn't offer much legroom here. In the middle part you can also somewhat sit for shorter trips. It's a little bit stiffer from that area. Headroom wise, with one with 89 or 6'2", I can still put a hand over my head. Yeah, but I slightly touch the seating when I put my spine a little bit more up. Trunk opens right here underneath the BMW logo. 480 liters. If you want to go more and even more accessible, need the touring version for the estate. Here you only are limited a little bit here. 1 meter or 40 inches in length, and also a little bit less than a meter or 40 inches in width, but very well usable. The height here, a little bit more than 50 centimeters or 20 inches. So it's a very good sedan trunk. And here you can unleash the seats. And then you can score some 175 centimeters or 68 inches in total length to the front seats. Welcome to Thomas's Driving Lounge, BMW 330i, German Autobahn. Look, that was a 60 to 120 kilometers an hour acceleration. Already pretty nice. What about more? Now 180. So good sound actually, and really nice driving behavior. 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour. Wow, and stays so calm and collected here on the German Autobahn. Really, really nice. Yeah, it almost feels like nothing. Here, of course, at really high speeds, the wind noises are also picking up, but it's still very well insulated here on the motorway. Here also, that rather stiff suspension plays a good role to keep me in the balance. Steering feel is also in this very version better than I recently felt in the 3 Series. I'm not sure. Some of it might be tire configuration, suspension configuration. So I tend to say that the 3 Series steering is not the most natural in the feeling. It is precise and agile, but maybe lacks a little bit of resistance here in the low degree area. So like here, also at higher speeds, I would expect a little bit more resistance than in these areas here to give me some more stability and feeling for the car. But here, yeah, very well done here at higher speeds. In that sports mode, the adaptive M suspension also goes to a stiffer dampening mode, which is when you're driving over bumps, just too bumpy actually. But here, it's actually very, very nice. Let's compare that if we go to the comfort mode. And it also goes back to the comfort setting. And yeah, you can breathe a little bit more. So yeah, you definitely feel there's a huge difference, So this span between comfort setting and sport setting is really large indeed. You have 3 different dampers available. The base dampers, then you have the M dampers, base one, they're fixed, and then the adaptive M suspension. So they also have a sportier setup, but then between comfort and sportiness there is, a wider span. And yeah, after having driven all of them, I have to say, never go for the fixed M suspension. It's just too rough, too stiff. Doesn't really make sense, in my opinion. And here the adaptive M dampers, if you want it sporty definitely, but still want to have the possibility for a comfortable feeling. But I would rather say, save the money and get the base dampers and don't spec the 3 Series too high, because then you end up paying so much money for a mid-size sedan here, or estate if you go for the touring version. And yeah, that's just not justified if it's so expensive. I'm also going to talk about the price here later on. And I really wonder, the adaptive M suspension is really a lot of fun here on the motorway, and also when I do some lane changes. Wow. Yeah, similarly acts from the steering like the Alpha Giulia, which also is really aggressive and precise, but again, to my taste, too, here not enough resistance. But then when you get to this area, whew, it gets like wow, and like what the hell is going on? So yeah, it's still okay, and I'm talking about it on a high level definitely. But I'm happier in this case with the steering in the Audi A4, for example, or in the A5. And talking about that difference, the 3 Series is the one, hey, most aggressive, let's attack and so on, sportiest feeling. The A4, A5 delivers you the best comfort, seating comfort wise, and also suspension wise. And the C-Class, for example, Mercedes, has the advantage that it offers the rear axle steering already in this segment here, which is very, very rare, and you can get
more dynamic feeling at lower speeds, and also have a small turning circle, and parking in and out is easier and so on. So these three main competitors, they all have their pros and cons, definitely, but super interesting, definitely. Here, I think the biggest con is contra is the seating comfort. It's of course okay, but I feel in comparison to the competitors, they have not the best seat ergonomics, especially for tall drivers. And I feel that the more and the longer I drive on short trips, it's not the most crucial thing, but when you drive for a longer period of time, it does indeed matter. So you see we have a German Autobahn, especially today, and interesting are always these transitions between the Autobahns. Let's go to the right lane here. Here now in the comfort mode, the steering, again, I don't have the best control of the vehicle. It is precise, but it doesn't give me the best feedback of what I'm doing on the road, actually, and that should be better for the 3 Series. Still, it feels a lot of fun here, also going in the corner. Wow, now the sports mode, and when that sport damper is on, that's so rough when we're going over some bumps. It is fun to drive, definitely, but really rough. By the way, here S-shifting mode, then you hear the RPMs are turned up higher, so this gives us even better acceleration. Now let's do another 82, let's see. 140, it's 160. And 180, that's it. Wow. Yeah, that's really nice sound for a 4-cylinder engine. Of course, working with that sound actuator, but that is done actually in a more natural way. And I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but it is so bumpy here in that sports mode. It is fun, but you almost feel like, hey, I'm on the racetrack in a real sports car, you know? That's in a way cool if you want that sporty ride. And if you buy this stock BMW 3 Series and think like, hey, it almost feels like an aftermarket suspension. But I think it's not that good for the normal customer, you know. But in the comfort mode, it's definitely way better. So here I can also relax a little bit more on the motorway. Assistance systems, I can put it to the assisted driving mode. That is the most elaborate one. Then also the car is kept in the lane itself. Distance to the car in front of me is being kept as well. Of course, I can always cancel it or override it just by hitting the throttle or hitting the brakes. That's the good thing, actually. We have a lot of freeway. It's a Sunday today here when I'm filming this one. That's why it's rather free on the German Autobahn, and we can drive a lot of high speed here. And you see, this combination is also possible. Comfort driving mode with comfort suspension setting, but S-shifting mode, and then the RPMs are turned up higher. It's shifting up later and it's shifting down earlier. This is actually a nice solution. That was an interesting aftermarket tuning for this. That was like Peugeot 206 or something. Yeah. You also see some weird things on the road, definitely. So when I set the cruise control with the assisted driving mode here, and the steering, you see here we have a slight right bend. Is it doing that in a smooth way? Yes, you see here, no sudden or hectic driving movement. So they upgraded the assistance systems with the facelift here. More assistance systems are also standard, and also the optional ones have been recalibrated, updated, and so on, and they work flawlessly. You also have a blind spot monitor, but since I'm driving quite fast here today, I've seen no one overtaking me, so not sure if the blind spot monitor was visible at some point. Now getting off the motorway, which is always a lot of fun and a good test as well for that vehicle. So I'm still in the S-shifting mode. Now you feel that the car is shifting down earlier. I have more engine braking. So if I also compare it here to the Mercedes C-Class and the Audi A4, I feel this one is a little bit more nervous in a way, a little more hectic. And the question is for you, do you want that? Is it something that you appreciate actually? Or do you rather appreciate a more, drawn back, subtle driving experience? So I think it's good that the brands here, Audi, BMW, Mercedes, have their own focus, and you can't really say like, oh, this is the best or this is the worst, but more like for which purpose and for which preference. I already told in the A4 vs C-Class review, you can also check that out. My important aspect is always like, how does the steering feel and how comfortable are the seats. That's two things that are very, very important to me. These two things would drive me rather a little bit away from the 3 Series, but maybe other things are more important to you, like the real sporty feeling, for example. Interesting here, I have it now, this traffic light indicator. It shows me a red traffic light in the instruments. You heard that small sound? I waited intentionally to accelerate, because then that sound appears like, hey Thomas, lazy man, traffic light is green now, start accelerating. So that is like a traffic light reminder when traffic light is red and you may be talking to passenger, you're talking to viewers, or you're not using your smartphone by being at a traffic light. So this is then the reminder of start driving. So these new software versions here, they have a lot of advantages as well. I think the digital driving display here, the instruments, is also very visible. I like that. Very clear and crisp display. Meanwhile, I got along a little bit better also with the consumption figures on the right side. They are a little bit harder to access it at first. But when you learn to use the system a little bit more, it improves. Still, the OS 7, the older infotainment system software, is easier to use. Yeah, but this one also has the advantages that the wireless connection from the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto is a little bit more stable. So pros and cons there definitely. And it of course also looks more modern. Controlling the climate unit while driving, it is somewhat okay because it always stays in this direction. Yes, probably most of us here like the manual climate unit, which is easier to control while driving. But I also talked to some younger people recently, and they told me, yeah, this is the better solution. I mean, it's totally old school when you turn or press something here. It's like, really? Am I too old for this meanwhile? I don't know. Yeah, but I don't know. But is it a thing of generations? Maybe we can comment, like you say, like, hey, I'm at this age and I really prefer having all things in the screen, and say like, hey, I am this age and I want to turn. Maybe there also, you say like, hey, I'm 19, I just got my first vehicle, first own vehicle, and I prefer to have manual climate knobs. Would be looking forward to that. Or maybe you say like, hey, I'm like 60 and in the screen it's more modern. That could be, I don't know. I'm really waiting for your comments on that. Looking forward, how that is. More countryside or city speeds here. There is where the car feels, let's say, underused. So this 3 Series here, especially when you go for the M Sport Pack, always tells you, let's go, let's ride, drive me sportier, accelerate more. And that can be a problem with speed cameras indeed. So this is indeed where the C-Class and the A4 give you more relaxation. Once again, the question is what you prefer and what you like best. But I can really tell that in this segment here, this is a very engaging ride. It's always telling you to keep on driving, drive sportier, keep it further. And yeah, it's also a lot of fun to put it left and right. And there is, close by here, a nice road going up the hill. It's called Autogefühl Peak, aka named after Pikes Peak. And from time to time we drive this hill with really sporty cars, but I think this vehicle here today, even though it's just a 330i, deserves to be put up that hill. And here we are. And if you wanna, can you also shift down even quicker? Yes, left pedal, hold it, and then it comes to the M Sprint function. This sprint mode, for example, works when you are in a higher gear, and then it shifts down multiple gears. Like here, for example, 5th gear, hold it, and then you're in first, for example, So it shifts down multiple gears at once, but in this case here, of course, it's better for us when we have the sport driving mode and the S shifting mode, or shift ourselves manually down left and right. And here now, winding corners, this vehicle. Yeah, it's so much fun. Here also the rear-wheel drive. This is the rear-wheel drive only version here of the 330i. Gives me a little wheel spin here because sometimes, you know, the road is maybe a little bit moist, and also some leaves on the road as well. And this is so much fun to get out of the corners with like a limited wheel spin. We have experienced it in the driving 3 Series with 5 Series, that comparison, that when the road is even wetter, even in the sports mode, the stability systems here do limit the rear-wheel drive, so you are somewhat safe. But the cool thing is, even if you don't have ESP Sport here, which you can also use, by the way, if you want more spin, but not recommend on public roads, yeah, it just gives you so much fun here when you're in the winding corners here. Yeah, you even hear that. That's beautiful. So much fun to drive the 3 Series up the hill here. This is again where this vehicle here scores the most points in the driving fun. It can still do it and does so still with that facelift here. Of course, you should tune in to the C-Class vs. A4 review, and if you want it sportier here with the 6-cylinder, the M340i of the 3 Series facelift. By the way, fuel economy here, 8 liters, 100 kilometers, 29 mpg US, 34-35 mpg UK, is not really much lower than with the 6-cylinder.
For the first time ever, we've driven a BMW first as the all-electric version, the BMW i4 here in Autogefühl, and now the BMW 4 Series Gran Coupé, and they run from the very same assembly line close to Munich, right here where we are today. So today, the BMW 4 Series Gran Coupé, new generation, as the M440i X-Drive, the sporty version. You can see here the huge double kidney, which is wide and high. Yeah, and this has split so many opinions since the release of that one. You can see here this is then a high gloss black finish with this shadow line package. Otherwise it would be in cerium gray here in the M440i. Headlamps, LED is standard. This is the adaptive laser light with the blue accentuations. And you can see a very interesting daytime running light. If you have the base LED, they are not that, you know, curved around right there. Very strong lower part, and Aventurine red is the vehicle color for today. The length now 4.78 meters or 188 inches, 14 centimeters or 5 inches in length growth. Yeah, and half of that is like the wheelbase now, so you will have more legroom. That's very important. Here you can see the wheels go from 17 to 20 inch. And these one here are the 19-inch wheels, the brake calipers here for the M440i. And when you have this shadow line package, then you also have the black mirror caps and also here the black outline around the windows. And you can see a very sexy stretched roofline right here. Integrated door handles. Let's already open them right now for you that you can see that. And they actually give you a good feedback, and door closing sound is not that, I would say it's okay, you know, not that bad, but also not super good or something. And when we come towards the rear right here, you can see the tail lamps already begin right here. Suspension wise, by the way, you can get normal suspension, and with the M440i gets a fixed sport suspension, and optional we have here today the adaptive M suspension available for the 440i and also for the 430i actually. Here the M performance model, small wing lip and lower part, a strong diffuser style, and Autogefühl fake exhaust police alert, because the outline here is fake and the real exhaust on the inside. It looks quite good still, but if you go for the 2-liter 4-cylinder, then you have the real exhaust tip. Here the 3-liter inline 6-cylinder, then you get this. Turning indicators, you can see here it replaces one part of the daytime running light. Pretty cool. Rear, it follows this swinging form. And if you want to spice up the sporty styling even more, here you can get M performance parts. For example, carbon fiber double kidney frame like this, also carbon fiber lower spoiler, and then also special wheels and even sportier style. Nice M valve cap right there, and also here in the side M performance stickering like this, carbon fiber mirror caps, and towards the rear once again the set of wheels And here a carbon fiber rear spoiler, so even more aggressive styling, together with more carbon fiber here for the diffuser. As for the engines, this one here today, the M440i M Performance, 3-liter inline 6-cylinder, 374 horsepower, 4.7 seconds is the acceleration figure. This case also here with the extra with the all-wheel drive, and at this moment my information is that it's not supposed to come as a rear-wheel drive only model, unlike with the 3 Series M Performance model. Then you can also get the 2-liter 4-cylinders here, like a 430i or 420i, and there will also be diesel available, also the 2-liter 4-cylinder, or later on also the 6-cylinder diesel. Car key, slim and light, good quality, M colors here at the side. Then inside of the doors, also good build quality, soft touch here and everywhere. Optional Harman Kardon sound system with a very good surround sound, so I can recommend that. Of course, it's also not that cheap. Then we have the entry badges right here, and also the colors here at the floor mats. The sporty steering wheel with real buttons still, like that. Here also, for example, for the volume. Then the seats today with the optional M Sport seats. And they come with animal skin only, but the base sport seats, they are actually available in different leatherette colors in the new Sensation perforated style. We've seen it in the BMW 5 Series facelift, for example. So a more breathable and even higher quality, high grade leatherette. So this is probably the best solution you get in the US, and in, for example, the German market, you can also get fabric on the inside, leatherette on the outside, or then also Alcantara on the inside and Sensation on the outside. The UK market is quite often kind of left aside. They only have animal skin choices. That's really a pity. BMW should change that. Then steering wheel up, down, in and out, like this, smooth process. And with 1.86 m or 6'1", still enough headroom. From the whole seating position here, compared to the 3 Series, kind of similar. Clean design for the interior overview. You would start with a setup of 5.7 on the left, 8.8 on the right for the base 4 Series, and then option here 12.3 inch on the left and 10.25 inch on the right. Soft touch here, nice setup right there, and then also still with a manual climate unit, so good to control. OS 7 here, the software. Let's take a closer look. So I really think this is a good software version here. You can very well control it, directly know what you're doing. You can also control it here from the lower part, have a hotkey for the map, for example. It's very responsive. The new OS 8 by BMW, we've seen in the iX or the i4. Don't like it that much. It would to me be a reason to stick with the combustion engine model, because then you still have the kind of older software generation here, which is to me more suitable, just easier as for the input. Then here in the lower part, still a manual volume knob, some hotkeys here. They are also left out in new BMW versions. Gladly, we have no piano lacquer here. And then adaptive cup holders, USB-A charger, inductive charging pad, Apple CarPlay, and also Android Auto is available in a wireless way. Android Auto here since the recent upgrade of the OS 7. Then we have this more classical shifting lever. Turn on the engine here backwards like this. Left side for the manuelle Schaltgasse, the manual shifting unit, so to speak. And then you can also shift like this, but also at the shifting pedals at the steering wheel. And here once again, nice metal knurling around this multimedia control unit. So this is all classical 3 Series and so on, and the same is kept here for the 4 Series. Let there be light. And there was light. Digital instruments, they are very clear to read, and for example you can also switch here to the map view. We have to control that in the infotainment system. And also when you change the driving modes, they also adapt accordingly, so it's actually quite cool. Head-up display is always a good option and also gives you some GPS arrows, even some more sophisticated view when you approach the next intersection. And what about the voice input? Hello BMW. Hello BMW. Cancel route guidance.
I've ended the route guidance.
So that is one voice command that works. Well, more wheelbase should mean more legroom, but the thing is, still, when you get in the rear here, and we same as a result with the i4, yeah, for 4 tall adults, I mean, I hardly fit in here, so I have to put my spine a little bit more down with 1.86 or 6'1", and also I'm hitting, you know, the back part of these sport seats. Maybe with the normal seats it's a little bit better if you don't have these optional sport seats here, but still very cramped here in the rear, and also with this huge middle tunnel That's the thing. So yeah, it's practical with the trunk. You can see it very soon, but everything here, yeah, I feel a little bit misplaced here with my size in the rear. However, we can have here the cup holders. They are also adaptive. You can also fold, oh, sorry about that, fold this down here with the ski hatch like this. Also the seats from here, so that's actually possible. And what's really nice are these special, again, optional seat belts here with the M colors. Now comes the best thing about the 4 Series Gran Coupé. This huge hatch, so you can easily load things in and out. So that's actually no problem. You can see here our sample luggage. And this is here 1.40 meters, a little bit less in width than if you go a little bit deeper in there. Yeah, I said that. Then here, you know, also 1.40 meters, so that's actually a good result. And below the cover, that's here 50 centimeters or about 19 inches. So that's actually really good. To fold the seats, showed you earlier, from here, or you can also reach over and then do that like this. Plop, 100 kilometers an hour, 62 miles an hour. Wow, great acceleration. 4.7 seconds here for the M440i X-Drive, and very smooth also because we have this all-wheel drive traction, of course, here then on the dry road. But since we're on public roads, put in the real ESC again and also normal shifting mode for the moment. Yeah, because this car can do both. You can cruise in a very calm way, but you can also attack it all the way. This is the compromise that this car has in this M Performance version. Steering feel is very loose here, especially in the comfort mode. So this is rather for, let's say, running straight, you know. But when you go to the sport mode, then you have a little bit more feedback here, and this is actually quite notable, and also a setup that I would actually recommend. And now let's get on the motorway. Let's go to the sport shifting mode once again, and also in the sports driving mode. So, and when you punch it down, great sound from the 6-cylinder. Oh, you lift the throttle and blop, blop, blop from the exhaust. Really beautiful note. Getting to the middle lane, and let's now test the other features. So we go normal here, cruise control, put the assisted drive in when you have the most sophisticated assistance systems pack. Then cars being kept in the lane, and if I, let's say, provoke it, for example, here to the side, see here, the car does keep me in the lane, and it's a very smooth process. So really very well developed here, so longer highway turns and so on, no problem at all. The comfort from the suspension is also excellent. You have the adaptive suspension here, and that means when we were in that sport mode earlier, it's a little bit stiffer, and here in the comfort mode, well, we're still in the sport mode. Sorry about that. That's the point actually. Even in the sport mode, yes, it is a little bit stiffer, but still it feels comfortable, like we would still be in the comfort mode. Let's go to the comfort mode here once again, and then, you know, still has good characteristic, but just a little bit softer than from suspension. So that's a good thing that you can really vary that. Due to the longer wheelbase now, if you compare it to the predecessor, it also is a little bit more subtle or grounded on the road, so gives me a very sophisticated feeling. The only thing here with these M Sport seats, they are very, very stiff, and yeah, definitely not that comfortable. When you stick with the base sport seats, you will have more comfort. And if you have the possibility, for example, in some European markets, like the German market, with the fabric or with the Alcantara surfaces, will be even more comfortable. But the new SensaTech, the new perforated SensaTech that you get in the US, will also do a great job. We've already had it in the BMW 5 Series, for example. Noise insulation also very good here at 120 kilometers an hour. Yeah, some 70 miles an hour. Very silent here on the road. How different does it feel from the BMW 3 Series? Not that different actually. Same wheelbase. It's the rear hatch that is different actually, and that is, yeah, actually more practical. So this one here looks more fluent, more sensual than the 3 Series. At the same time, it's more practical. So that's actually a very good thing. Here now, unlimited speed, and what we can also do, even if in a comfort mode, this M Sprint mode means I press and hold the left shifting pedal and you'll see multiple gears hopping back. That is 100 to 200 kilometers an hour acceleration, so 60 miles to 125 miles acceleration. And you maybe saw that when you were looking closely. So we were hopping back from 8th or 7th gear directly to 4th gear with this function. And I mean, I'm not sure if this is like really intended, but what we can also do when I press the throttle first, you know, a little bit earlier, maybe it's then, yeah. So you can basically do that simultaneously, you know. In the moment you hit this sprint button, then already push the throttle, then, you know, you're even faster. Before that I was delaying the throttle a little bit because then we could see the gear shift a little bit better in this case. So we can see here that was a part of unlimited speed, now again it's restricted. And this is actually a very good exercise for this car because once again it can do both. Feeling perfectly fine here with cruise control and 120 kilometers an hour. And then at these minimum speeds you can also score some 8 liters on 1 kilometer, so 30 mpg US, 35 mpg UK as for the fuel consumption. But then you always get the great performance from this inline 6-cylinder with a very nice sound, not too exaggerated, but at the same time, you know, it just gives you this very natural feeling. We have driven the BMW i4 already. You can also check out that review here on Autogefühl. This is the electric version of this one, and they do feel similar chassis-wise because they share the platform. At the same time, they also have notable differences. So, yeah, I mean, it's not a pure electric platform. That's why we're also driving the combustion engine here today. And this, I really have to say that in this case, the inline 6-cylinder still fits a little bit better to the vehicle, you know. The i4 has more spontaneous, you know, acceleration just from standstill, for example. Here, when we are on the motorway and then accelerate a little bit further, you just have more, you know, cultivated power from that combustion engine. So this is kind of like the difference. And because the i4 even has, let's say, in a way more uncontrolled power from this abundance of electric power, this one here feels a little bit more calm and collected, you know, more a little bit suitable for that vehicle. And usually the driving experience is, you know, very good with the electric vehicles. It's also with the i4, and also weight-wise it's different. This one here feels a little bit lighter, for example, when doing a lane change. So, but then the i4 has the center of gravity is way lower actually because of the big battery pack in the bottom of the vehicle. So then, you know, at slower speeds, the i4 can feel in a way more agile. But then when you are in some corners and drive a little bit faster, when you have more weight, then it pushes you further out of the corners. And that is not happening to the same extent here with the combustion engine model. Definitely a great motorway vehicle, but yeah, wouldn't go for these optional M Sport seats. So, because I'm starting to feel already that I need to change them somehow. It's not too bad, but still definitely can do better. Oh, yeah, in that sport mode, the shifting process, like a bam, bam, that is really hammering more in, whereas in normal comfort mode, it's more like more smooth transitions between the gears. So by the way, this is a sign in Germany that 80 kilometers an hour is just when it's wet. When it's dry, you can drive 100. That's the normal countryside road speed in Germany. So this is also where this car is super at home. So really nice to just cruise this nice landscape and so on. The steering feel here, yeah, you know, I'm not the biggest fan of the 3 Series platform steering feeling. Told you that many times. In the i4, to me, it was kind of the worst in this connection to the very powerful electric drivetrain. Here, I really have to say, at least when you are in the sports mode, it has some more feedback, but I think they should still work on the natural driving feeling of that steering characteristic here. Nevertheless, it's a lot of fun here to cruise this car around. Also from standstill. When here and accelerate out of the corner. It is all-wheel drive, yes, but you still feel that it has a rear-wheel bias, so it comes around just a little bit. It is, of course, different as well when you have a rear-wheel drive only model. You know, you can also say like, hey, I don't go for the sportiest model here to still have a more purist rear-wheel drive feeling. And that's actually a very good argument. This one here is already very expensive. Yes, there's even the more expensive true M4 above that, but hardly anyone will go for that actually. And it's only available as the coupe, of course. But yeah, the thing is really, should you rather go for the things? Here we have the six-cylinder. You know, in the other pure rear-wheel drive models, yeah, then you have the 4-cylinder. But then again, you also have the choice of, well, I'm not sure if you get in the European market, but US markets, they also offer, for example, also in the 3 Series, some 6-cylinders with rear-wheel drive. That to me would then be the best combination actually, because it just offers you the most fun. Here with the all-wheel drive, of course, you have a little bit more traction, especially than in winter times when you have conditions like these. And you have so many things you can, for example, you can stay in comfort mode, but then go to the S-shifting mode. Then you have, you know, the gear already a little bit lower and can accelerate out a little bit easier. Yeah, you always see the effect here on the passengers, and they're like, yeah. So it's always nice to use this acceleration. Yeah, it feels so cultivated. This engine. Definitely one of the most fun combustion engines there is out there at the moment. 8 cylinders will definitely consume more fuel no matter what, and the 4 cylinders sometimes feel a little bit soulless. Yeah, but then it can be a good entry level into the vehicle when you want to keep the price down. Here once again, slalom characteristics, 50-50 weight distribution, front rear. Just that steering feel, to me, again, not natural enough. But overall, great driving feeling here in the mid-size segment. It's definitely among the best ones, no doubt about that. If they would just fix the steering a little bit better, and that's just software tune. I think they could do it at any time. Yeah, but that's in general a 3 Series problem. Here, one of the most fun vehicles there is in this very segment, definitely. And to me, that's really the cool thing about the 4 Series Gran Coupé. It's really cool looking. At the same time, it is practical, you know, with that rear hatch and so on. And these are ideal roads for that, you know. Here now in this bend, so much fun. Such a great driving feeling from the chassis, for example. Also, the Gran Coupé has additional stiffening measures if you compare to the 3 Series sedan, for example, both in front and the rear, and you really feel that. And yeah, you can imagine this is a racetrack, and as soon as you go to the motorway, you say like, okay, I can relax and cruise for 2 hours. If you don't pick the optional M Sport seats, of course. Well, the Audi A5 is of course a strong compared to this one as the Sportback version. And well, if we think about Mercedes, yeah, that's a little bit tougher there. I mean, if you go a little bit bigger, for example, then there's the Mercedes CLS. If you go a little bit smaller, then there's the Mercedes CLA. Yeah, but here then C-Class, there is no C-Class 4-door Gran Coupé in this respect then. Yeah, but definitely enough videos to enjoy for you.
There is a new player on the compact premium sedan market, and that's the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé. It could be an alternative to the BMW 3 Series, a little bit smaller here. It is of course a new competitor to the Mercedes CLA, which was pretty much alone on the market so far. BMW is tackling that now. And here on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars, Thomas in front of the camera, Jonas behind the camera, will fill you in with all the details, exterior, interior, and the driving experience today with the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé as the sporty performance version M235i xDrive. This will be a lot of fun, I can promise to you.
and we'll give you all the details you need to know. It will be very interesting, especially for our friends in the US, because together with the BMW X1, this will be the new entry to the world of BMW for the US customers. This will be, so to say, the cheapest BMW, not the M235i, of course, the base version. Which ones are available? Tell you all about that now in Full HD, full screen and full length. Let's go! Please subscribe to us if you haven't done so far, and if you already subscribed, thank you so much. And a shout out also to our Portuguese fans today. You know, we have a very strong fan base here in Portugal, and somehow they always love when we're here to film the reviews. Here, the BMW 1 Series or the 2 Series, they both get this very big front double kidney, although they are rather small vehicles. Again, in the US, this is now your compact segment entry into the BMW model range. In the US, you do not get the 1 Series. In Europe and also other markets, you do have the 1 Series. They share the very same platform. The M235i gets this meshed front double kidney. Otherwise, you have, for example, vertical fins in there. And in this case, you also have this high gloss shadow line. Usually the standard would be a cereum gray, so a little bit matter also, and more gray in the tone. Here in the shadow line you get more black nuances, just what you prefer. Then headlamps come with LED as standard, not only the daytime running lights, which are very beautifully done, but also the main headlamp unit, and optional you can get adaptive LED, as we're also having right here. Other than that, color-wise, we have a white car here for you today, but in the studio we also had a striking color called Snapper Rocks Blue Metallic. That was actually my favorite. 4.52 meters, 14'8" or 178 inches is the length of the 2 Series Gran Coupé. That's 20 centimeters or 8 inches longer than the BMW 1 Series compact hatch, but they share the very same wheelbase. It's the same platform, front-wheel driven, not so long front hood. And if you have the all-wheel drive, it is then front plus rear-wheel drive on demand, like it is here with the M235i. The normal front-wheel drive models and also the low all-wheel drive models, besides that one here, they usually start with electronic front control differential lock, so to say. So it's not a real one, but they use the technology of the BMW i3S, very interesting, to reduce a front wheel spin. And here in this performance model, M performance model, you do get a true mechanical front differential lock. As for suspensions, you do start with the base suspensions with a normal model. Then you get the M Sport fixed suspension as standard in this one here, for example. But that's, you know, really rough. You can, however, go for the adaptive suspension optional, which we also have in this very car here right today, and we also recommend to do that. Also, 18-inch wheels are optimized for this adaptive suspension, are a good compromise between comfort and sportiness. If you go for 19-inch wheels, you cannot go for the adaptive suspension anymore. Bear that in mind. Other than that, the beautiful design line here, you see here a very stretched roofline. It reminds us just like a small 8 Series, so to say. Also here then with Hofmeister kink design elements inspired by older BMWs. Then this one, as I said earlier, has this shadow line package also with black side mirrors. Otherwise this would be again in cereum gray. like in the M lettering here in the M235i, so either Series Grey or this black then. And then you also have the black window frames around, and today we also have the black wheels as a contrast to this white exterior vehicle color. So I think also design was on the exterior, strong shoulders here, a beautiful elegant job. As for the market position inside the model portfolio, I think with BMW it's a little bit clearer here with BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé, because if you think about Mercedes, they have the A-Class hatch, the A-Class sedan, then the CLA, even as sedan and shooting brake, and then they have the C-Class, and the CLA is the same length as the C-Class now. Here with BMW, they try to differentiate a little bit more. So the 2 Series Gran Coupé is still shorter than the BMW 3 Series. And I think that's a little bit clearer as to where to position the car. Or what's your thought on that? In the rear, well, that's the thing where I have to think about a little bit. I found it very beautiful in the front in the side profile. With the rear, I think it looks a little bit bulky because it's so, upright here in this area, and especially if you have the M235i in the shadow line with the additional contrasting black wing here in the top, I think it looks even bulkier. Also showing that to you later. I think it's more beautiful when it is in the vehicle color, then it's a little bit more subtle, this additional wing. And together then with those two horizontal black lines, I'm not sure about that. The headlamps, however, slim and beautiful, that's quite cool. Then the lower part, again, with the black contrast here. Again, more cerium grey elements if you would stick with the base M235i without this additional package. And we have this, pretty massive outer exhaust ring, and then the rear ones are on the inside, the outer just for beauty. There's also a difference to the smaller engines, which have just real exhaust. You can also take a look at that. I think this is a little bit exaggerated here. Well, what's your take? So as for engines, the one we have today, yay, hydraulic struts, is the M235i xDrive, so the M Performance model with all-wheel drive, front plus rear, 306 horsepower, 2-liter 4-cylinder, and acceleration figure 5.1 or 4.9 seconds with the M Performance package. And always with the automatic gearbox, but with shifting pedals. And the 228i in the US would be the main engine, the entry engine for the US, only available in the North American market, then with 230 horsepower, also xDrive. And in Germany or in Europe, you could also get the entry petrol engine, that is 218i, a 1.5-liter 3-cylinder with 140 horsepower. That one, the only one also available with a 6-speed manual gearbox or optionally automatic. And last but not least, there will be a 2-liter 4-cylinder diesel, the 220D with 190 horsepower and also with the 8-speed auto. And if you want it a little bit sportier, you can go for some M Performance parts. As you might remember from earlier, this front grille here for the M235i has this mesh design, usually in cerium grey, and then again, because this of course also has the M Performance package, is here then also in the glossy black. That's the same as with our main vehicle, but here we have some additional parts. For example, there are some caps for the side mirrors in carbon fiber and special M Performance wheels, 19-inch as well, and they even have special valve caps, so very beautiful in the detail, for example. And in the rear again also with this shiny black scheme, so a lot of additional sporty elements. Of course, you can also stay with the base version. It's just if you want a little bit more individualization. And in the interior we have, for example, special floor mats, also with the M Performance badge. And then there's a unique steering wheel, M Performance logo there too, contrast stitches on the inside, and Alcantara on the sides, and not only at the grip pads but also a little bit more towards the inside, so a connecting Alcantara surface. Interesting, also a 12 o'clock marking in red and the top part. And last but not least, in a very detail, the shifting pedals are also covered with carbon fiber then here in this case. And to show you some different variations, also different color. This one here is called Storm Bay Metallic, and this is also the M Sport package, so you can also get it with a lower engine version, so not connected to a high trim engine. If you want a sportier look, but don't want to spend the money on the M235i, for example. And in this M Sport package, you have those vertical fins in the front grille. This car also has this extended Shadowline package. So in this case, we also have the glossy black frames around. And you can also see 19-inch wheels, optional. But remember, 18-inch if you want to have the adaptive suspension, because 19-inch will not work together with the adaptive suspension. And what I find here a little bit more elegant is when this additional spoiler here on the top is indeed in the vehicle color. So I think that's a little bit more subtle. Oh, what's your favorite? And seriously, I find these rather simple round exhausts just a little bit more beautiful than the other ones that maybe look more extreme from the distance. So this is a simple solution, and this is even just a 220D, but still a very nice exhaust, not only left, also on the right side. Here we have the slim, light and suitable car key if you have the M Sport version or the M235i. You also have the M colors at the side. Yay! And keyless entry when putting your finger here on those three stripes. Closes, or hand on the inside it opens. And the beautiful thing is that we have the frameless doors here. So typical coupe element. Although there's always a lot of argue between coupe hardliners who say there are only two-door coupes and coupe softliners who say there are also four-door coupes. Yeah, that's how it is. The only thing is here with the frameless doors that the door closing sound is not that good then. So that sounds a little bit weird because there's no real plop sound then when there's no frame around these doors. Then from the inside, soft touch right there. Then there's a dark decoy element in this case. There's the optional Harman Kardon sound system. So there are 3 sound systems available overall. This here, the one with the 16 speaker setup. So this is the most speakers there are, 6, 10 or 16. 16 in this case here. Nice sound from that. Then the rest of the interior, we already know it from the BMW 1 Series in the European market. You can see here the compact steering wheel, very good build quality, everything is very well done as for the buttons and knobs and so on. Soon more details to all of the screens. Seating details, in Europe we start with a base seat, a normal comfortable base seat which is rather open and is available also with fabric surface. In the US you start directly with the sport seat, which would also come with the M Sport model, or with this model, the M235i. The normal sport seat has a separated head restraint here in the top part, so it's not that one. The normal sport seat then either in Europe with fabric Sensatec mix, so Sensatec leatherette on the outside, fabric inside, or in the US, standard would be Sensatec for the sport seat, either in black or in beige, and that's also what you should go for in the US. Other than that, this optional sport seat with the integrated head restraint, so even for the M235i it is optional, is also actually pretty cool because it can still be comfortable. It's not necessarily less comfortable than a normal sport seat. The only thing is in US it only comes with animal skin surface as we see here. However, in Europe we can get it with a nice Alcantara fabric mix that is sadly not available in the US. So if you're a US customer, you should give a feedback to your dealer that you would like to have it the way we already filmed it in our studio location. So that is actually the dream seat for this vehicle, but sadly not available for the strongest market, which will be the US. So I would say in Europe we go for this seat then with the fabric Alcantara mix, and in the US we just stick with the base sport seat and pick a Sensatec, maybe even in beige. That brings a lot of light to the car as well. Both seats will be comfortable, yes. However, for tall people, a mid-size sedan will still be comfortable, more comfortable. If you're a little bit smaller, then it won't play such an effect. You have controls, in this case here electric, up and down for example, and front and back again, and also for the back part of the seats, and here also for side bolstering. Then you can already see there's the M235i badge for this sport model, and a nice detail is also for build quality here, this cubby hole. When you open it, look at that. Soft dampening. That's why you would pay 60k for such a vehicle, won't you? Yeah, that's always the thing then. Of course now, with all the extras and stuff. Steering wheel can be adjusted in and out, up and down, very smooth process. That's also where I pay attention and really feel a connection to the build quality that the car is offering to me. And you can actually quite cozy and sporty position at the same time. Of course, everything in the front is like in the BMW 1 Series, so there's no real difference to that. Headroom for me with 1.86 m or 6'1" is like this, plenty available. For like 1,200 or something extra, there's a panoramic roof available if you want to go for that. And of course it costs a little bit of headroom, but still, although the car looks sleek, there's an astonishing amount of headroom still left. Interior overview, good build quality here, everywhere soft touch materials, no matter what you touch. And there's a sporty decor element, there are different stylings for that available for the 2 Series. Then the climate unit is still manually to control with the screen right there, but that's good because I want to have something accessible also while driving. The only thing, turning off and on the AC can just be done in the menu right here and not with a single button. But they have some individualized hotkeys in the lower area, and so cool to still have a real volume knob right there, even with a metal knurling around. In the lower area you have an inductive charging pad for your smartphone right there. Then there's a normal USB device and some cup holders, but they are not adaptive. Then you have this shifting lever, automatic gearbox always comes with this vehicle. Start, stop, and then there's different driving modes you can pick. So if you don't want to use the touch screen, you can also use this pad here, turning and pressing, or also using the touch area on the top part for writing an address, but usually you would do it with the voice input. But still, while driving, it's quite good to have this option still to control the infotainment system. And then you have this leatherette cover of the armrest, and then you can put it up. Good build quality, very well attached, and under that is a USB-C device. Steering wheel has this heated function. This one also the M steering wheel with a little bit thicker grip. On the left side you have the adaptive cruise control. This is not a soft rubber surface, it's a more, it feels good. It's a hard plastic surface, but feels good in the quality. Past generations were a little bit soft rubber where that was diminishing after a while. Now let's get in the rear. Also for the rear doors, the beautiful frameless design. So that's of course an emotional feature. Then take a look at the rear right there. It looks, not that roomish, of course, but there are compact vehicles that are even smaller in the rear. The typical rear bench design by BMW that looks somehow well integrated, so to say. And you even have some reasonable cup holders here in the front, or like say bottle holders. And the cool thing is, it's an expensive vehicle, so we can expect it, but good that we still have a dampened material, so soft material also at the inside of the doors at the rear. These sport seats do have an impact of the legroom, so you can see the back part here is quite voluminous, so that reduces the legroom a little bit. However, they do have a soft background and not a hard shell at the back part, so when you hit it with your knees, it's then again still somewhat okay. Good that they thought of that. So let's take a seat inside and see how that one plays out. Of course, a shoe tab. And it does work for 4 tall adults, closely, but it works. And again, since this one is more voluminous, it's good that we have a soft background. The normal sport seat would have this hard shell right there, but then you have a little bit more space, so it's not too bad actually. So headroom wise, when I lean backwards, I do hit my head on the ceiling, but that way it's still okay. So with the 1 Series hatch, for example, it's a little bit better, and also with the 3 Series sedan. So a little bit of a compromise, but still somewhat okay, so to say. You get the picture again with me, 1.86 m or 6'1". in the middle part is also theoretically possible. It's not too hard. It's quite okay, but headroom-wise, it does get quite close then. And again, if you do not have animal skin surfaces, but a fabric, which we have in Europe, it's also, again, softer a little bit, so it's also better for the comfort. Here in the middle part, you can get this armrest down with adaptive cup holders. And you also can apply the ski hatch right from here to load things right through. Other than that, flipping these seats, you have to unleash them from the trunk. Last but not least, here in the rear, we do have 2 more USB-C devices here in this back part. 430 liters of capacity for this trunk. It's of course longer than with the BMW 1 Series, but you have this shallow opening, sedan-alike. You have some more space below it, and you can also remove this cover, but of course it's somewhat practical because it reduces this loading sill. Well, and the measurements, as for the total length, it is 95 centimeters in length. It's about 1 meter in width, and the height here is about 45 centimeters. So that means when I put a standard backpack in here, it can actually stand upright, so that does work. What else we can do is flip the seats, so we have to unleash them from here and here. Then I have to go around, and then I'm able to flip these in the 1/3, 2/3 split actually. So here we go. So that's it. But we can also just use this ski hatch. That's then our maximum setup here for today. And should you wonder about the length to the very front seat then, that's the last thing we can show you today with this trunk. So here we go. And that's then 1 meter and 70.
Welcome to Thomas's Active Driving Lounge. We put the shifting lever into the manual mode, sports mode and traction control. And then we can also hit the launch control. We are at the moment just alone here. Brakes, throttle, and let's go. Look, that was only 100. Wow. Yeah, that went quick. So it was first a little bit downhill, then a little bit uphill, so that should have evened it out, but it's just around 5 seconds, and wow, that was really impressive. And the wet conditions here at the moment, and that means the all-wheel drive is working very well. So I did not experience any form of wheel spin or slip. That was really amazing. And since it's wet, I'm also putting the traction control in again. And again, please do not attempt to do this. Just do it on the closed circuit or something. Just doing it here for demonstration purposes and really safe when no one is around and so on. So now to the normal driving behavior. And I put in the traction control in again because of the wet conditions. However, I'm still in sport mode, that we get a little bit more of this exhaust note. And also in the sports mode, the throttle input is being reduced. The gears are turned up higher. Yeah, there's gesture control sitting in here when I'm just using gestures. Other than that, it's really good grip here on the steering wheel, and the steering ratio is really extremely well thought out. So it's a very natural driving feeling. We're here on one of our favorite testing routes in Portugal, and what we can do here is compare it also to other vehicles we've been driving, and that's really awesome. So I can really say, you know, how does this one behave to other vehicles, because I've driven this exact road with a lot of different other cars. And it doesn't feel too different from a normal 1 Series, or as we drove it in the 135i, which is technologically speaking the same vehicle. They also share the same wheelbase. Maybe it's a little bit different as for the weight balance and so on. And this car is so well to control, and the steering setup, steering handling and so on, is even better than with the BMW 3 Series. So they are somewhat competing in the sedan segment. Yes, if you think about that, the 3 Series, of course, a segment above that and a little bit longer. But then again, this one here has the better package because of the shorter hood, and it is actually more fun to drive because it's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit lighter, and so on. Yes, you don't have this rear-wheel drive punch out of the corners. That's somewhat missing, especially if you would just have front-wheel driven model of that. However, since we have the all-wheel drive here, when I'm accelerating out, we also have more torque on the rear wheels, and that is really helping to reduce this effect of you would feel it just be front-wheel driven. And just want to show you when we this guy's just waiting here or the drive, I'm not sure. I just want to show you when I'm here at like slippery surface and I want to accelerate out the corner, you know. So I'm just right here, like say I want to get on this road, and I'm doing, let's say, not full throttle, but you know, strong acceleration out of a corner. When I have front-wheel drive only, that would mean that the car steers me somehow, but I want to steer the car. So that's the thing. But here, how much torque is being transported to the rear, and how does this real differential in the front, which we get with the M235i, work? Is it, you know, correcting this issue of a front-wheel driven platform when we have the all-wheel drive, which is going front plus rear? What will happen? Let's see. Oh, excellent. Did you see like how calm the steering remained? And again, slippery ground here, that's really good. So indeed, the two things, all-wheel drive that is sending me torque to the rear wheels and the front differential doing a good job to reduce this effect. Of course, again, a rear-wheel driven platform will still behave differently, but they did all they could to reduce the difference between those. Very good handling. The adaptive suspension together with the 18-inch wheels also doing a good job. It is a sporty and crisp ride, yes, all you need. It shouldn't be any rougher. So going with 19-inch wheels together with the fixed sport suspension, I would not do that because it won't make the car faster or sportier. It just will make it feel rougher and less comfortable. The question is if that's really a good thing, you know. So here a very good setup. They really thought about when developing this car. It should have 18-inch wheels and the adaptive suspension. That's, you know, what they thought about. Of course, it's still optional, yeah, because they want a little bit more money from you. The M Sport suspension is the standard one for this car here, for the M235i. So you cannot de-pick it and go for the base suspension. So definitely should opt for the adaptive suspension. Or if you don't go for this M Performance model, then just stick with the base suspension if you want to save some money. Having so much fun here once again. Oh, they make some tree planting actions here. It's quite a lot of times that here in the Sintra region they have also like some waste or trash collecting initiative and so on. Great job, guys, if one of you is watching this. So, you know, and even out here with, you know, fierce weather conditions, great job those guys are doing. So, having so much fun here again, good handling. I also can compare it to other cars again. So much neutral balance in this feeling, and that's what I also said with the 1 Series. There was, you know, a lot of criticism going away from this rear-wheel driven platform. This very car, of course, does not have a predecessor in this. Now the voice activation went on. Cancel. But the head. Yeah, good morning.
Sorry, I didn't quite hear that.
How are you doing?
Please retry or say help.
No, cancel. Yeah, that's sometimes we have some weird conversation with your car when you have voice activation systems, but I don't want to miss it. It's really so cool to have these voice activation systems because they make especially GPS input so much more helpful. That's really cool. So of course I couldn't really like speed it up all the way since it's like those, you know, those wet conditions here, but really enjoyed this ride here in the agile driving part. It was really very cool. Now we're going back once again to the comfort mode, and this is also changing. You know, when you're in the comfort mode, the adaptive suspension gets a little bit softer. In the sports mode, it gets a little bit stiffer. So you're also flexible. You're not, you know, just fixed with one very setting. You can change it then from time to time. That's also pretty good. So what again, when you think about 3 Series or 2 Series, if you really think about that, especially our friends in the US who maybe bought 3 Series so far, now thinking about 2 Series, this one is smaller, so better like for getting a parking spot, for example, when that's a problem. And the handling is actually better. It is more fun to drive this car here, especially when you're like, you know, steering, going left and right, slalom, because it's lighter, the platform is newer, the balance is really good and so on. The only thing is when accelerating out of the corners and you have a rear-wheel driven only 3 Series, then it's a little bit more fun just with this rear-wheel drive, with this pure rear-wheel drive feeling. Again, here with the all-wheel drive we have, this does diminish the effect of being like this front-wheel biased, especially with the slip differential. So that's definitely okay. And if you then compare that, for example, with the 3 Series with all-wheel drive, in the 3 Series again the all-wheel drive is rear plus front. Here it's front plus rear. But when you compare these two cars then the difference is not that much. So front-wheel driven 1 Series or 2 Series versus rear-wheel driven only 3 Series, big difference in accelerating out of the corners. All-wheel drive 2 Series to all-wheel drive 3 Series, all-wheel drive 2 Series against all-wheel drive 3 Series is not such a big difference. So also very interesting inside. The only thing is, you know, comfort-wise, seating-wise, I feel a little bit better in the 3 Series, but we get also a little bit more into these aspects when we now head onto the motorway, do some more high speed and so on, more acceleration when we're already at speed and some assistance systems. Let's take a look at that. Motorway acceleration. Plop. That was 70 kilometers to 120 kilometers an hour, so pretty quick. And since we are in this sport mode, also nice accompanying sound. In the sport mode, the tune is a little bit more sonorous. And now driving 120 kilometers an hour, which is about 70 miles per hour. And it's reasonably silent in here, so noise insulation is really good. There's also, of course, this new platform here for the 1 Series that is being shared with the 2 Series. Very well done, so that's pretty cool. Although you are in a compact platform car, you don't feel like that much because it has this elaborated sound insulation or noise insulation, so that's really cool. Next to the sporty features, we also have, let's say, the cruising and the assistance system features. So there's an adaptive cruise control. I've said at the moment, for most markets, this will be an option, or there's an assistance system package. We have a blind spot monitor, where if someone would overtake me, there would be a flashing in the side mirror. That's a very, very helpful feature. And it's always interesting, what about the lane keeping assist? So that's the thing, you know, is it intrusive or is it okay? At the moment this motorway is you know, going left and right and left again, and it's not that I would feel it's annoying or something, and that's of course very important. From test to test we have those lane keeping assist. Some are really like say, oh, I want to turn that off, and some are more subtle and just do their job when they need to do it, but don't annoy you that much otherwise. And I think in this case, it's doing quite a good job. So we can use this toll station for another acceleration from 40 kilometers an hour. Let's go. And that's again, that was 40 kilometers to 120 kilometers an hour. So pretty decent here as well, and it gives me a very good all-wheel drive feeling. You know, it is a front-wheel driven platform, yes, but since we have this slip differential in the front, the real one in the M235i, and much torque is being sent to the rear wheels. Maximum, of course, is 50-50. I really don't have this front wheel bias feeling or something, you know. And that was really different when I was driving the 1 Series lately with the front wheel drive only, where you would hammer the throttle and really being directed by the front wheel. That is not the case when you have the all-wheel drive model here for the 1 Series and both for the 2 Series. So that's really important, helpful to know. Let's see what here, that's the lane keeping assist. Very well done. Have you seen that? So I was getting towards the side of the road, and then a subtle, you know, steering input from the car itself. That's how it's supposed to be done. And you know, for example, we recently had some Mercedes system which had it by brake intervention, and then when you get off the side, it's like, wow, and it's like, heart attack, what happened? This was, you know, very safe and very subtle. So I think really excellent. So indeed, also on the motorway, the car performs very well, performance-wise, but also safety system-wise, and also from this whole refined feeling. Yes, when you think about longer motorway trips, for tall people like me and Jonas especially. Jonas is up there. No, I'm just kidding. Hello, Jonas. No, he's right there. You know, actually a 3 Series, a mid-size sedan, or mid-size touring then, if you want the estate version, is a little bit more comfortable than the compact platform here, yes. Again, when you're, you know, maybe maximum 180 meters or, you know, smaller than that, or for example, you know, like 6 foot or less than 6 foot, then it might not be such an issue that you have really more comfort in the 3 Series comparing to a 2 Series. But if you're taller, then that's still the case. You know, for a compact segment car, you have a very decent comfort in here, that's no doubt. But again, I would go for a 3 Series if I would have like daily long motorway travels or something, or plan like really long travels. Other than that, of course, here you have the advantage that it's a shorter car for parking in and out and so on. And you know, the agile handling, as presented to you earlier, is really very impressive, and that's the same case here on the motorway. And I think you also catch it on camera that I don't have to raise my voice that much, even though we have rainy conditions here today, and the asphalt that we face here is actually, you know, times rough. Here, for example, now here is a little bit softer. Then you also hear maybe that it's you know, more silent. So it really depends also on the asphalt. When we know do the often test drives on Mallorca, there the asphalt is really very rough usually. That's good for rainy conditions because you still have a lot of grip, but again it sounds weird than on camera or something. So having a lot of fun here also on the motorway, how natural and well the car performs also at the higher speeds. So indeed, driving wise, what they've done here, yet again a pleasure. And considering it's a sedan, it has this design building style on the exterior, I still have a decent overview, you know, so I don't feel like I couldn't see what's happening behind me or something. So I think that's totally fine with me. And last thing to cover, does it really feel different than the 1 Series? Well, they do share the very same wheelbase. So when I would close my eyes, could I tell? Maybe a little bit. I mean, the weight balance is just a little bit different. But it doesn't make the biggest difference if you compare now 1 Series or 2 Series. So the question is rather which building style of a car you want to have. Or of course, our friends from the US, you only have the chance to get this one. Then it's not really a question, but probably even good to know. And about the fuel economy, a realistic figure would be about 9 liters on 100 kilometers, 26 mpg US, 31, 32 mpg UK. As an average figure, you know, it will be better when you're using motorway, cruise control and so on with the 135i, where we had some cruise control, German motorway. We could even score some 7.5 liters. That is possible if you retake it slowly. That will be then, you know, more in the higher 30 mpg regions. And if you push it a little bit more, also do some acceleration tests, as we did here today, it will rather go towards 10 liters. And then of course
lower than just above 20 mpg. So I think this 9 liters or 26 mpg is a realistic average figure in between. And now to our conclusion for today with the BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé, and especially here as the M235i. Well, it is very interesting to now have a serious competitor, a serious competitor. You got that right, well, man. A 2 Series competitor to the Mercedes CLA. We'll see how BMW really appears on that market. And it is a very beautiful exterior design, front and side profile. I think rear, I think you have to get accustomed to that. But in the base versions, it's a little bit less dramatic than here with the M235i, especially if you pack this shadow line where we have then the additional black wing that makes the rear a little bit more bulkish. On the interior, a superb build quality, also in the base versions, and we also have a nice seating choice both in US and especially in Europe, where we can get this additional or optional sport seats also with the Alcantara. You have reasonable comfort, yes, but I think when you're tall you still have more comfort in the 3 Series. However, this here is smaller, so you can get along in the city a little bit better, and the handling is really superb. This will be the same case also for example, the 228i, which will be the most successful engine in the US. And even if you just go with the smallest petrol engine, you will still have a lot of driving fun. The only thing is, if you have a front-wheel drive version, which will be just a European problem because in the US you will get it with all-wheel drive anyway. If you have the front-wheel drive version only, it's the same with new 1 Series. If you accelerate out of the corners, you won't have this very sporty touch. However, if you have the all-wheel drive version, they did actually a good job to reduce this front-wheel bias effect, and you still have a lot of fun. And again, driving-wise and agility, when you are already driving and not accelerating out of the corner, is even more fun than with a 3 Series. So a very cool driving machine. And price-wise, it can be very attractive, especially if you stick with the base versions. So you have a relatively cheap BMW. Of course, it won't be cheap overall, but considering how expensive their other models are. Here, the M235i is, of course, then again pretty expensive. If you think about the base model, you can get something like, depending on the equipment, 30 to 45k dollars or euros. This one here then rather between 50 and 60, depending on the equipment. So this will again get expensive. But of course, it's the same when you pick the CLA, for example, as an AMG. So what do you guys think? I think it's a very interesting new competitor in the segment. Had a lot of fun driving it. And we present you all the pros and cons we could pick up today. I think the most thing we can pick up is that it's really a very neutrally, very well balanced driving machine, and still has, a very elegant styling, although it's not the biggest car. So which one would you take? Which one would I take home? Starting with the biggest one, the BMW 7 Series. It does offer you the best comfort in driving. It is a phenomenal ride. This car is really outstanding. Also, comparing it to the competitors, I would pick a BMW 7 Series over a Mercedes S-Class, for example. The only things that are missing in comparison to the 5 Series, the Veganza seat, the high-grade leatherette seat, does not offer seat cooling in the BMW 7 Series, which is a strange choice. So you have to go for this fabric wool combination, for example, to have seat cooling. But I think they will change that, or have to change it at some point. Still, the Einsitzhöhe, so how plush the seats are in this first few centimeters of seating area, this is exceptional in the BMW 7 Series. I just love to drive it. The only thing, of course, could be the length. If in your market you have a problem with parking space and so on, that could be a hindrance then to go for 7 Series. And of course, the price really always very high in the price. Then the BMW 5 Series is somewhat, of course, more handy than the BMW 7 Series. It also has some more flexible options and choices. You have to go for the comfort package. So the comfort seats with the Veganza material are really great. They are also available with cooling. Just be sure that you always have the comfort package, because the comfort seats are way more comfortable than the sport seats. As for the powertrain, of course, it depends on if you can already go electric, depending on your charging infrastructure. Not everyone has a good charging infrastructure yet, so then you still have plug-in hybrid options, you have pure combustion engine options like the petrol and the diesel engine, and they all perform very well. It has a very good comfort driving as well. And you have to think about, you could also go for a low trim level, and that might also be a very good choice overall concerning all the cars here presented. Then the BMW 3 Series is this classic all-rounder, more compact dimensions, it fits all roads, all streets, most parking spots and so on, and it offers you this sportier driving experience. The BMW 3 Series has very good sporty capabilities, and at the same time also offers enough comfort. On long travels, I would prefer a 5 Series over a 3 Series, especially if you're really tall. And also the steering characteristic could be better in the 3 Series. That's the thing that I usually criticize. Everything else besides that is also very well done. The BMW 4 Series is very interesting in a way because it offers this better trunk accessibility, so it looks a little bit more elegant maybe, but it still looks sedan-alike. Then of course they call it Coupé or Gran Coupé. Yeah, it's always a matter of definition, but the cool thing is that the trunk opens in a fastback styling and is then more practical, and you can carry around more things, almost estate-alike without having the estate look on the exterior. If you go pre-facelift or post-facelift, it's up to you. I mean, the digitalization is being upgraded now, so you have a more reliable CarPlay connection, for example. Yet again, you lose the physical climate controls that you have in the pre-facelift. The BMW 2 Series Gran Coupé is also interesting because it's a little bit smaller even, also is great fun in the driving. However, in this compact class platform at BMW and Mini, I feel that the suspension is sometimes a little bit too rough. So that's my take, for example. Maybe some others do like it, but for me, since the price and size difference between 2 Series and 3 Series is not that large, I would rather lean towards the 3 Series in that case. And overall, I mean, if money doesn't play any role and you have enough space in your market, just go for the 7 Series for the greatest comfort. However, I feel the sweet spot here is the BMW 5 Series, especially in the low trim, because a BMW 3 Series in a high trim can basically be as expensive as the BMW 5 Series. And I think especially some extras which you maybe do not need, they really exceed the price. And then with the BMW 5 Series in the lower trim, just handpick some extras like the comfort seats I said. And I mean, you don't need the most powerful powertrain. You also don't need the electric version and so on, not necessarily, always depending on your market and taxation and so on. So I feel the low to mid trim level BMW 5 Series is the sweet spot in their sedan lineup, and that's what I would pick then if you combine everything together. What do you think? Oh, and by the way, if you're interested in completely animal-free interior, the 5 Series, 3 Series and 4 Series now also offer an animal-free steering wheel and the seats, and all from base equipment that comes with the 3 Series and the 4 Series facelift, which we will also soon show you on our channel, so stay tuned for that, and the 5 Series in the base version if you don't go for the M Sport package. So thanks for listening and watching our video here. Tell me which one would you go for in the comments and join us for more comparison episodes.